Hello, hello, hello. Good morning, good morning. Welcome on in, everybody. Wednesday the 23rd of July. Hello, hello. Sorry the stream started a tad late. I suddenly lost sight of my cat, so I wanted to verify where the hell he was before I got going. Delightful. Wow, we start off with a bang. Erin, thank you so much for the cheer. Thank you so much. Lena, Elvira, hello. Moose, just in time to entertain me during console maintenance. Guns and Raiders, he, and indeed low. Le, and indeed bro. Either my timing's impeccable or yours is. Second day in a row, I'm here when the stream starts. Fantastic. I'm guessing it's down to you. Just ask Maya. If there's one thing... There are many things about me that are impeccable. Timing? Not so much. Unless I'm playing music, I guess. Right, we have got quite a few things to cover today in the coming few hours. Ted Meister, good morning. Briartog, hello there. And Lena Vera, I am working. I like that emote. Solid. Wasabi, hello, yo. Wait, servers are still up? Yeah, I'm on PC. I believe console servers are down, according to what Moose has just been telling me, so yeah. But I'm one of those scumbags that play on a personal computer. So yeah, I'm still good. Nice. Yeah, we're going to be here for a few hours. We are going to be talking about Julian Lefay, who sadly we lost yesterday. We had a few days ago, we had an announcement to prepare us for that eventuality. And I know some of you know the name, but don't know much else about him. Some of you might not even know the name. Don't worry about it. We will talk a little bit about him. Not to bum ourselves out that he's gone, but talk about the amazing things that he helped create. Namely, the Elder Scrolls universe and setting, which we love so dearly. Can't wait till I get PC. It does have its advantages. I love a bit of PC gaming. The only downside, really, for me, is that I play mouse and keyboard wherever I can. And then that means that when a game... It's rare, but when a game comes along that is a little bit better suited to a controller... I've got one of those Xbox Elite wireless controllers. I do suck a bit, and it takes me a while to get back in the game. But whatever. It's good for the brain. You know, to switch input methods, to switch browsers, operating systems. It's very good for neuroplasticity, isn't it? Aaron, feed the Ted when you find him. He's fed. The Ted is fed. Ted Meister, what about you? It looks like Ted Meister's been fed on fish. Finished all of that in Oridon. Lena, still have tonsillitis. Had to go back to work, so glad the stream is on. Fantastic. Well, we are glad to accompany all of you anywhere, anytime. And Brian Talk got a controller, and I suck at it as well, but I needed it for some games. Yeah. I remember when Skyrim was like a few months away, I was working one of my earliest jobs after my master's degree, but I was quite comfortable, let's just put it that way. I didn't have a whole lot of bills to pay, I was very young, and I was earning more money than I knew what to do with, so I ordered a stupidly expensive... Like, I now know that this is not the thing to do. The thing to do with a PC is to buy the second best thing that's available. You know, like the not the top tier, but like the A tier rather than the S tier piece of hardware. Get all that stuff, and then a few years later, you do the same again. You spend a fraction of the money you otherwise would that way. I mean, and even that will be a very, very luxurious PC setup. But if you really want to blow your wad, you do it that way, and then you still save quite a lot of money. But at the time, I was like, fuck it, let's go. So I went on Falcon Northwest, if you guys know them, a custom rig builder. I didn't get myself like a custom case or anything, but my god, those cases. Absolutely, even just the case alone is just a thing of beauty. It's this huge black brushed aluminium monolith. Oh, just sexy, sexy. Like, think of muscle cars, you know, it's that kind of thing, but for PCs. And I just tricked it out with literally the best thing I could find everywhere. Maya was very cool. We were already together at that point. She was like, yeah, go for it. Maybe I'll play it too. And I was like, yeah, Skyrim's coming. And I remember looking forward to it arriving. November's coming. It's going to be the 11/11/11. Let's go. And yeah, then the whole thing was delayed because I'd got a PC that was a little bit too ambitious, and they needed time to like get all the parts and get it set up. So it was delayed by like 3 weeks after Skyrim was released. Check out what Maya did. She literally, I think we already had the PlayStation. We already had one of those just for like karaoke and shit and like racing games. But she bought Skyrim on PlayStation just so I could play it, knowing that I would have to start again a few weeks later when the PC arrived. Yeah. That was fun. Fun times. PC muscle, yeah. You can get really carried away. I think it's one of the things, if I were just loaded, it would be one of the things I would have to watch out for. Because let's face it, maybe these days, as a streamer, it might make a little more sense. I could actually get something out of streaming to YouTube in glorious 4K. Twitch doesn't even allow that, not really, except to a lucky few. 4K, 60 FPS, and a lot of players can't even watch that if they don't have a 4K monitor, you know? A lot of people have a 4K TV, but even then. So yeah, there's not much point, is there, really? Unless you want to play like a super, super demanding game, like Cyberpunk, and turn everything all the way up. Woolly B, hello there! Lena, I still can't play Skyrim properly on the Switch with a Pro Controller. Lifetime of PC and a year of console only. Yeah, it's amazing. It takes time. But believe me, I mean, I don't know this. I've got this from articles I've read. But it all seems very, very plausibly supported by the evidence. Doing that kind of thing, especially while you're young and then moving into 30s, 40s, doing that kind of stuff throughout your life, you know, switching up things that you're used to. Like getting a TV with a different control system. Even things as simple as that. These are things that old people can't do because we lose the ability to switch easily between modes, if you like. Modes of interaction. And we become set in our ways and our brains lose that elasticity, that neuroplasticity as it's called. I believe that's the right term. Yeah, it's one of these things you read about quite a lot. There are other things, you know, like just playing Sudoku or whatever regularly. Cryptic crosswords, which I suck at, but I really like the idea of. Yeah, so if you're one of those people that always puts the same input scheme, controller scheme in every game, or you play on a PC but you use a controller because you're more used to it, maybe shake it up once in a while. It's good for you. Most download of the attribute bars added on console doesn't do what I want. That was sad. Whoops. Diminishing returns are insane for PC parts. Yeah, very, very true. Same with alcohol, right? You can pay $50 for a champagne and it's going to be really nice. Like, $50 is a lot. You could pay $200 for the champagne. It's not going to be 3 times as good. Not even close. It's going to be like 20% better, if that. Yeah, it gets to the point where I used to work in a very, very fancy wine merchants while I was doing my master's degree, so I got to see and try, on the rare occasion, some of the crazy, crazy products. And yeah, some of them are more worth it than others. It's like you genuinely can't get a rum that tastes like that unless you spring for that amount of money. Somewhere you can't get a non-champagne that tastes like champagne unless it's made in the champagne method. That's why it's so pricey. Because you can't make them in vats. You have to turn them slowly. It all takes time, and the end product is better. Yada yada. But most of the time, it is about, you know, like a marginal improvement, but a tripling of the price. You know what I mean? And sometimes it's not even the quality. It's about the story that you get to tell and the prestige of, oh, I'm drinking something with, like I once had a cognac which was a blend. And this was a Napoleon cognac. And, yeah, it's blended from a lot of brandies going way back to some of them, and we're talking like minute amounts per bottle, right? But they still have some which were around when Shakespeare was alive and writing plays. And that's quite an interesting moment to think that this thing in your glass that you are sniffing and enjoying, that's kind of a fun thing. But it's, at the end of the day, like, that is a load of nonsense, isn't it? You know, just get me something that tastes good and which does the job, and which isn't too pricey. Yeah, PC components are a little bit like that. I feel like. Lena Elvira, I've always built my own PCs. Can't trust anyone else to do what I want. Yeah, I've built every one of mine since then. Which is only like 3. 3 PCs I've built since then. But it was very fun to be able to do that. And I was aware that there were things coming down the line like, you know, mortgages and cars. I didn't even drive at this point. I was very late in learning to drive because I never needed one. I got a job straight away, which is like 15 minutes walk from my house. I was very lucky. So I just delayed it until my job literally required me to get out on the road and meet clients. So I had very, very little to pay for other than just fun shit. Those are the days, right? Didn't have any pets. No mortgage. Still don't have any kids, but yeah, that kind of deal. LeBro, I'm in good company for the rest of my workday. Absolutely. Most, I generally subscribe to the pay nice or pay twice method. Yeah. If that ain't love, I don't know what is. Yeah, exactly. Erin never owned a console. I haven't used that much consolage. The Wii is the one that I use the most. I think the only... I've never owned an Xbox, but I've had a PlayStation. Just as like a backup thing. Also, we got into... Did you guys know the game SingStar? We had a few friends who used to freaking love coming over, getting hammered. Or maybe we'd go out and get hammered first. Then we'd come back to our place and fire up SingStar on the PlayStation, you know, with the red mic and the blue mic. And it, like, rates your karaoke performance. If you're in the right company and you're, you know, your liver is has taken enough of a beating. Or if you're just in the right mood. That could be a lot of fun. But it's like the main thing we used to use it for. Lena, nearly 50 years old now, that's why I struggle with controller. Well, like I said, it's never too late. Try it. Like, next time you fire up Dark Souls or Elden Ring or something like that, a game that is apparently much easier / better to play with a controller, something that's been designed with that in mind. Or like a racing game would be a great example. Next time you have one of those, dig out the controller, force yourself to give it another go. It might suck, in which case you don't have to continue, but supposedly it's very good for our brains. Right, Tog, I'm 54, so yeah, learning on a console at this age is not easy. It's probably not that easy at any age. We just tend to get frustrated more quickly because we have more of a sense of, my time is precious. God damn it. Like, the other day, Maya and I we've been playing a lot of Cyberpunk. Maya's been getting more and more intrigued by the immersive sim genre, which is a thing that's kind of passed her by. And I've been, I've been trying to like put down some breadcrumbs, like this is why it's really interesting. You know, System Shock, BioShock to a degree, but those System Shock games and Deus Ex, wow, that's like the gold-plated, gold standard kind of thing. So we installed it, Deus Ex and the Revision, fan-made suite of mods. What an amazing experience that is. You can get that on Steam for almost nothing, and it's a lot of fun. But man, the control system is whack. The gameplay is completely different. Like, get this, to crouch, we couldn't figure out. We were just tapping buttons, and I've played the game before, I just couldn't even remember. We were trying to figure out how to sneak. It is X. We were trying to figure out how to zoom in when you've got like a sniper rifle. We tried right click, scroll wheel, all of those things. It is left bracket. So open bracket is the button for the scope on the right. And of course you can change it. But yeah, that was pretty funny. And Maya's reactions were like very, very amusing, because there is a quick save, but it's like bound to numpad plus. So she kept hitting F5, just muscle memory, nothing would happen. Then she'd die to something and go, oh my god, there's no save. Yeah. So I think the older you get, the more frustrating that experience can become. But ultimately, it's relatively easy if you just slow down and be patient with your brain and muscle memory. That's a lot of people have had that experience, I think, with ESO, that they log in, or they set up the game for the first time, they expect a certain type of control scheme and a certain type of gameplay, and if it doesn't gel, they feel like they're bad, or the game is bad. You know, our brains are tempted to conclude in one of those directions very quickly, but it's not usually that's not it. It's that you're just not good at this yet. And it might take 10 minutes. It might take an hour, whatever. But everyone will get there. I watched my dad go from... This is someone who never plays games. Like, you probably count on one hand the number of video games he's played in his life that aren't, you know, a mobile game or a puzzle game on the phone. And I watched him sit down with Portal, the very first Portal, and get pretty fucking good at it in the space of like an hour. Didn't even take that long. But he was completely lost at first. Very funny. My 7-year-old is unrivaled at switching between tablet, PC, console. Oh, to be young again. Aaron used to have only been using laptops, built my first PC a few months ago. Yeah, I remember this. Your laptop gaming is a stage that I skipped. I totally get it. But I always went for... I guess I was very lucky. As like a recent graduate, I sort of landed on my feet in terms of having a stable place. I was a yuppie, like straight out of the box. And although my earnings were all over the place, because they were commission-based, it meant that I could go home at the end of the month sometimes with like a serious spring in my step, you know? And of course, by next month, it was all gone, because I was an idiot. Still am. Some things never change. Don't get kids, they're expensive and have terrible attitudes as long as they're at toddler stage. Bobby Ezekiel, good morning. Good morning. I hope you're well, Bob. Erin, I played Elden Ring with controller. The keyboard and mouse controller is horrible in that game. Yeah, I'm told this. I haven't tried any of the FromSofts with a controller yet. I've been really trying to make keyboard and mouse Dark Souls, the first Dark Souls, Prepare to Die edition. I've been trying to make that work. But like I've streamed it just on Discord to friends, and Sin has just been there like laughing at me. He is a Dark Souls nut. You know, he's played all of them multiple times. He loves Elden Ring as well. One of those people that just will always have at least one of those FromSoft games on the go. And yeah, laughing at not just my inability, but mostly my impatience. Like, oh my god, this is so bad. It's not supposed to work for mouse and keyboard. It literally wasn't meant to work. And then I would retort something like, well, that's bad in its own right. You know? They didn't consider there are people out there who play this way. Imagine the trouble Zos would get into if they did something like that. If they made something really, really crap on one input method. I don't know why FromSoft don't get any flack from anybody. Or at least not any that I hear of. Moose. Yeah, I prefer having money. Lena, no pets, no kids. Only live in one of those 30k tiny homes. We just have space for my gaming, Warhammer, and crochet stuff. That would be my ideal. That does sound nice, doesn't it? Trim it back so everything is affordable. And then every paycheck is a... What's that line from Aliens? Day in the Corps is like a day on a farm. Every meal a banquet. Every paycheck a fortune. I love the Corps. Any excuse to bring it back to Aliens. Oh yeah, I wish I could play mouse and keyboard on MMO. Yeah. I mean, ESO obviously works very well with controllers. But, you know, there are some trade-offs inherent in that. And it's one of the only ones. And again, I think that is because I don't think Zos, Matt Firor and company would ever have chosen to do that. Except for the fact that Skyrim and, well, Oblivion as well, I guess, were such hits on console. There was this big console audience who would play if they could. So that I think that was the logic. They have gone on the record about this. But yeah, credit to him. Love that quote. Man, Maya and I know the Aliens movie way too well. I mean, I know the first one pretty similarly well also, but we met this guy through... he was a web designer. He did some work for Maya years back for her other company that she set up. And because he was such a nice guy, we got on super well. He invited us over for a barbecue one time. And so we met his wife, lovely lady, a little bit older, from South Africa. And she was so fucking cool. And then a few drinks in, we got somehow onto the topic of aliens. It turns out all four of us just know the movie inside out. You know, could quote almost every line, Monty Python style. So, of course, inevitably, we organized an aliens evening where we would have snacks and spirits and just watch the film. I don't think there was more than like 15 minutes of the movie that went by without one of us talking over it. Usually all four of us, because it's so quotable. The script is tighter than a duck's butt. So good. But anyway, that's not what we're here to talk about. We are here to talk about Elder Scrolls, particularly the online variety. Mid-year Mayhem. I keep wanting to call it that. White Strake's Mayhem, which is coming up tomorrow at about 3 p.m. my time, I think. So, I guess 4 in the afternoon for most continental Europeans. And early in the morning if you're in the States. I already did some prep for that earlier. Well, yesterday. Probably do some more of that later. I want to talk a little bit about Julian Lefay, who very sadly passed away yesterday. And, yeah, like I said earlier, if you don't know the name, don't worry about it. It's not a name that everyone knows, which is one of the slightly sad things about it. But we're going to talk about the positives, the awesome stuff that he did, who he is, why we should all celebrate what he did. Not just for Elder Scrolls, but for gaming in general. A real top chap. No, we're here to talk about aliens. Don't weasel out of it, Khan. Ripley, he can't make that kind of decision. He's just a grunt. No offense. None taken. right? Or my personal favorite might be, I say we take off, nuke the site from orbit. Fucking hey! Just like any line from Bill Paxton, basically. Oh dear. Anyway, we're also going to talk about tomorrow, which is going to be our 24-hour stream right here on this channel. Looks like I'm going to be streaming it. Maya's going to be hosting it. So it should be absolutely jam-packed. I don't know if you saw, Maya put out a little... In fact, let me just do this real quick. Maya put out a little teaser. And let me just open up Discord. Sorry.
That's it, man. Game over, man. It's
Game over.
What the fuck are we gonna do now? What are we gonna do?
Absolutely. Awesome. My buddy Pure has also sent me some PvP setups, so we can have a look at those later. I'm just going to ask him, mind if I show these on stream? And, yeah, I sent this to Maya earlier. I just finished working on it. Whoa, that's very big. Come on, just... Sorry, OBS doesn't want to show what I'm trying to show. There we go. There it is. Shenanigans. Obviously shenanigans. 24-hour stream. And, yeah, these are, you know, so 35% off Tier 1 gift subs, 5 and above. 90% off all alerts, so things like that. The game over, man! Game over! You can also get me and Maya to do stupid shit, frankly. Khajiit mode. Trailer voice. Uwu mode. That's obviously not going to be me. I hope not, anyway. There are loads of things like that. Maya's got, she's got, like, forfeits lined up. So that if we get a certain amount of subs, you can send me into... It's either going to be Doom the Dark Ages or Doom Eternal. I hope it's the Dark Ages because that's a much easier game. And I have to complete a level on Nightmare as fast as possible to get us back on track. It's going to be full of stuff like this, you know? Funny little... funny things that we can just enjoy together. Have a fun hang. Create a bit of a party atmosphere. Like I've said before, this is all in service of... thanking you guys for 10 Fest and all your support so far this year, while also hopefully drumming up a little bit more support. I just realized I put all that info on screen during the ad break, but never mind. It's all good. LePro. Lena, I'm buying cans of Monster to keep myself awake for this. Oh, wow. Well, don't overdo it. One of her assistants is super into Monster. He's pretty young. He's like, I think he's like 18, so very young. And one of those, you know, if you've ever managed part-time workers up that age, needs a little bit of guidance, a little bit of a firm hand. Sometimes like, what are you doing? No, not that. Go here, do that. But, yeah, whenever she goes to the shop to get like an iced coffee or replenish stuff that they need to just get through the day, he's like, yeah, Monster, please. I haven't had a Monster in freaking ages. It's been like 3 years. Maybe I should hack it. Guns and Raiders. Lefay being able to change the path and course for how RPGs are nowadays is a huge achievement in itself. I do believe you can get Arena free to play on the Bethesda website, and Daggerfall, I think. I still play Arena to this day. It is juicy with lore throughout the entire game. Alright, well, since you bring it up, let me just finish Ritz on this character, and now let's talk a little bit about Julian Lefay. Don't worry, we're not going to bring the mood down. This is going to be a celebratory thing. Even though the man has died, I guess, I didn't know him personally. I hope... I'm assuming none of you did either, so it's not so much a personal loss for us. Obviously, those for whom it is, we sympathize and send our thoughts. But as gamers and ESO enjoyers, we are here to celebrate what the man did. So let's get into that. Did you say Daggerfall as well? I think they're both free. When they had their 20th anniversary, they became free. But Zion Control, hello there. Works well while under supervision. May have had that on a report card back in the day. I'm sure I would have. If the companies I worked for at that age would have been organized enough to have report cards. But yeah, I've definitely had that in like some of my retail, early retail jobs when you're like super young. Definitely felt that like uselessness energy. Just tell me what to do. Anyway. Yeah, I feel like... Hang on, is this the Chapel of Julianos? Yes, it is. Eerily quiet here, isn't it? I'm going to put on some music. In-game. So, here we are. At the Chapel of Julianos, named after none other than Julian Lefay himself, who just passed away yesterday. We got a message from his studio, Once Lost Games, a few days back, and I did talk about it a little bit on stream when that happened, that he was very, very unwell. He's been battling cancer for a while, trying to do so in private, but now it was at the point where he had to step away from his work. So to explain who he was, Julian Lefay created the Elder Scrolls setting. He and Ted Peterson and a couple of others, it was basically a custom D&D campaign that they were running. So I think that's very well known, that the Elder Scrolls was a tabletop thing before it became a video game franchise. And obviously, a lot of the rule sets, a lot of the concepts and tropes come straight out of pen and paper, tabletop RPGs, that kind of stuff. And some of the guys working on ESO, like Matt Firor to a lesser degree, but Bill Slavisek and the original lore master, Lawrence Schick, who now worked on Baldur's Gate 3 as the narrative director and still works for Larian, as far as I know. These are like big fucking guys in the tabletop or pen and paper RPG space. They help define the rules for telling our own stories in those worlds. So, yeah, the Elder Scrolls has some real like big hitters that have worked on it over the years. Anyway, so Julian Lefay was the director of the first 2 games. So he worked for Bethesda and got Arena made. Like, took it from concept all the way to delivery. And Daggerfall as well, which was much more his baby. He programmed... apparently, Daggerfall was very understaffed, which I guess is why it's been known as Buggerfall sometimes, because it was such a famously buggy game, but such a beloved game. It's so many people's favorite Elder Scrolls. Basically, I think anyone who was around when it launched, it's their favorite. And he programmed a huge amount of Daggerfall by himself, which is insane, given the enormously ambitious nature of that game. But yeah, he's defended its bugginess in the past with reference to that. We just didn't have enough people. They were, Bethesda didn't know this was going to be a huge franchise one day. Yeah, he passed away already. R.I.P. Yeah, Moose. Yeah, yesterday. I love Arena and Morrowind most, Brighthog. There we go. Yeah, Morrowind is my favorite. But I've played Daggerfall and Arena, especially Arena. And there is a real... It's not even that difficult to get into. You get used to the UI and the by modern standards, clunky controls fairly quickly, I would say. And the main thing that is jarring is the RNG nature of almost everything. Like, which is still a bit weird in Morrowind, right? The idea that you can hit the enemy in front of you, but you miss. Like, in pen and paper, that makes a little more sense, because you can imagine them dodging, but when you've got a graphical representation of what's happening in-game, and you hit the thing with your sword, but it just, apparently you just hit air. Nothing happens. That feels a little bit strange, so that's why, that's no longer a thing. Katie Kitty. Hello there. The spell thingy from Arena is so overpowered. Just wish the ESO had a real melee class. Dragonite. Dragonite, baby. Also, Templar, they're fairly melee. And Nightblade also. Especially Stanblade. Anyway. So yeah, what an absolute legend. Not just from a creator, a world builder, but he programmed a lot of Daggerfall by himself. If you know anything about the game, you'll understand that that is a staggering feat. Absolutely ludicrous. Julianus, as I said, this is the Chapel of Julianus we're looking at right here. It was named after him, the god of wisdom and logic. While Sheogorath is named after Ted Peterson, who they were counterparts during those early days. Ted Peterson left, I think, during Daggerfall's development, although he kept coming back to write lore and stories and in-game books for Bethesda, so a lot of his thumbprints are on Morrowind. And he even wrote some stuff for Skyrim and Oblivion, I think. And I think most of those games have like a credit, a special thanks to Julian Lefay in as well. But apparently, he was the logical one of the two. Like Ted Peterson was if you know much about the lore that Ted Peterson and Michael Kirkbride have come up with for this universe, you'll understand why he was, I think it was a gamer name that he had, or a character name. Sheogorath was named after him. But yeah, the Aedra of wisdom and logic was this guy, Julian Lefay. And actually, a thing I didn't know until I read a little bit more after he died yesterday. Julian Lefay actually voiced a bunch of characters in those early games. I think the cinematics that have a voiceover in Daggerfall, that's actually him. And there's a Daedra in Battlespire, which is also voiced by him. That's pretty fucking cool. It's almost like a polymath. Right? Griffin, good morning. Chance to hit used to be a thing. Exactly, yeah, Zone Control. Exactly, but it feels strange, especially in a first-person game, where, you know, you swing your weapon, and you see it go through the enemy, and nothing happens. It's just a little bit odd. Have I got, like, a lot of the audio turned off here? No. It's oddly quiet, isn't it? Anyway. A lovely music here in Skingrad. I like it. Guns and Raiders down. What kind of code/script would they have used back then? And Dark Giffen, thank you so much for the follow. Welcome on in. If you just joined us, folks, we are talking about Julian Lefay, the father of the Elder Scrolls. That's what he's generally known as. Who died yesterday. We knew he was very ill. We knew he might only have days to go. But yeah, he's finally passed on. And yeah, I just wanted to take 5 or 10 to just talk about his contributions a little bit, because they are absolutely amazing. So after making these first 2 games, and then Battlespire, he was waiting for Morrowind to be... Well, it had been greenlit. It was going to happen. They'd already decided on some of the rules for the game and how it was going to be. But he was waiting for staff at Bethesda to be freed up. They were occupied on other projects. And by the time Morrowind actually rolled around and they actually could get started on it, there were too many differing visions. Different creative disagreements, basically. Because if you haven't played Arena and Daggerfall, one of the strangest things about them to a modern gamer or to an Elder Scrolls fan, a fan of later Elder Scrolls games like Oblivion, Morrowind, Skyrim, is that the worlds aren't built. The cities are built. So, for example, you walk around Skingrad in Arena, it's the same every time. At least I believe so. But once you go out of a city, once you leave a town or a city, the wilderness is procedurally generated. So it goes on forever and ever and ever. And only when you actually... At least in Arena, that's how it worked. In Daggerfall, I think it was... You would eventually reach another town. But trees, dungeons, monsters... Everything out in the wild was procedurally generated. So it was a genuine, like, forge your own adventure, tell your own story. Otherwise, these games would have been impossible to build. They were enormous. Like, Daggerfall is famously similar in size to the British Isles. So the idea of walking or riding your horse around from place to place is just... No, you had to use fast travel, pretty much, in these games. So, with Morrowind, they decided not to go in that direction. And evidently Julian Lefay was against that idea because of... Yeah, it might allow you to tell richer, more scripted stories. But for him, the heart of the Elder Scrolls seemed to be all about making your own story. And total freedom, like pen and paper RPG freedom. And the game is the dungeon master, you know? Generating stuff that will be different every time. Really interesting. You could use the Blade of Woe on that Ghost Crypto Gamer. Good to know. Should I ever need to. If there's ever a script for murdering undead, I wonder if that will work. Fesman, dang, this hurts. I know I'll be stopping by the temple to show my respects to him today. Oh, what armor is this? I want to say it's like Breton spell sword or something. No, Ebon Steel Knight, that's it. I think I've been asked about this armor more times than anything else. Because this guy shows up in a few videos, and Magsork videos are always super popular, so... Yeah. But yeah, Fezman, what a great idea. So, everyone, at some point today or in the coming days, head to Skingrad. The great chapel of Julianos, named after Julian Lefay himself. And, yeah, just visit the altar and say thanks. Thanks, dude. Finally, the last thing I wrote down here was that I found an interview where he was asked, back in 2010, so Skyrim was, like, coming up at this point. And he was asked about his departure from Bethesda and from the Elder Scrolls and handing over the reins. And he did say he was always delighted that it was Todd Howard who got to take over from him and make the franchise such a huge success. Because, of course, they worked together. It wasn't like Todd came in out of nowhere. He'd been working on the games for a while. He'd been at Bethesda for years at this point. I think Arena was just finishing when Todd joined. But I could be wrong. I don't have all the facts in my head. But yeah, and if you read more, you could go to uesp.net. They've got quite a lot of information about Julian and what he was up to over the years. And one of the things that keeps coming up in articles and interviews that touch on this guy's career is the influence he had on games in general. Like the open world type of game. He helped define the popular idea of what that should be and what it could be, which is a really amazing thing, like to be at the forefront of that in the early 90s when all this stuff was all up in the air. No one had really done this before. There's the guy Lord British, you know, who did the Ultima series. He's another one. Yeah, lots of people were trying to figure out how to translate that open-ended RPG adventure from pen and paper and rule sets into something that could work as a video gaming experience beyond just text. And I think it's hard to argue that Julian Lefay's contribution could be matched by anyone except the others on the team at Bethesda. So there we go. Todd the Odd. Hello, Khan. Hello, Todd. Hello yourself. Where's the temple, Katie Kitty? I did say it was in Skingrad, but in case you missed it, I'm just hanging out in Skingrad here. Temple of Julianos. So if you want to have a little, moment in the Elder Scrolls later this week, yeah, swing by and just say, thanks, Julian. And pour one out for our dearly departed developer. But yeah, like I said, didn't want to bring the mood down. Ozzy Osbourne also passed away, which I know there are a lot of metalheads around here. I'm more of a Black Sabbath fan than I am of his solo stuff, but again, a foundational talent and like visionary. Even if you don't really, even if you're someone who doesn't really like the music, it's impossible to argue with the impact that he's had on the on that corner of our culture over the years. I'm sure Juliana's used to be a go-to set in game. It did indeed. There was a crafting station up here in Hrothgar. That's more called in. Was it the Law of Julianos around here somewhere? Oh, maybe I'm wrong. No, it is. It is here. Law of Julianos. There we go. It used to be like the crafted set you would make for people. And I remember one of the devs, I can't remember who it was. It was a dev that joined us on stream. So it may have been Mike Finnegan. It may have been Rich. I remember they had a crafted set because it was their EU account. And we're going back not even a couple of years. And they still had Julianos because that's what someone had made for them when they made that character. So you still see it around. Yeah, thanks, Sign on Method. Heartbroken. 2 legends in one day. Yeah. Well, what can we do? We celebrate what they did. And I've got to say, much sad as it is to say goodbye to Ozzy, for so many people, the fact that he just did this incredible concert just a few weeks ago. If you guys weren't aware of this, he had a really terrible time the last few years. He had a very bad accident where I think the story he told. This is Ozzy Osbourne I'm talking about now. I think the story he told was that he got up in the middle of the night to go to the bathroom, as you do. Especially if you're in your 70s, right? I'm sure that's a thing. And he didn't bother switching the lights on. Which, with hindsight, he said was stupid. But he went to the bathroom, stumbled back sleepily to his bed, and just threw himself on it. Problem was, his bed wasn't there. He was, like, standing next to it. So he just threw himself onto the floor at the age of 70-something, and just heard a crack when he landed. And apparently the operations to deal with that injury have just been awful. He's been in a lot of pain, a lot of despair, and Sharon Osbourne apparently came up with this idea of this charity concert that Black Sabbath were supposed to have played their final tour, all of that stuff. It was supposed to be all over, but apparently it was her idea. So she got this... She got this sort of a benefit concert put together, you know, like Live Aid or something. And Black Sabbath were going to reform one more time to play. And they were going to get metal singers and rock musicians from all over the world to just come and do this concert. And they were like, we're talking like 15, 20-minute sets per band. So a very, very condensed, like, mini festival. And that took place in Birmingham, where Ozzy and Sabbath were from just a few weeks ago. Like, it's been all over the press here in England, but I guess if you don't follow heavy metal, or if you're not in the British Isles, you may not have heard about this. But it was huge. Steven fucking Tyler was there. Mastodon were there. Slayer. So many names. Billy Corgan from the Smashing Pumpkins came out, and a lot of them, I think almost every band that was there, they played their own stuff, and they also covered a Black Sabbath track as well. And I saw a review in a quite a middle-aged, sort of middle-class newspaper called The Guardian over here, and even this is not really their scene, I would imagine, but they gave it a really glowing review. I think the only negative thing that was in the whole thing was when they described Slayer's set as like listening to Roadworks. And as someone who's seen Slayer live a couple of times, I get it. I thought that was pretty funny. But yeah, so apparently it was an absolutely amazing thing. And Ozzy, because he wasn't well enough to stand and strut the stage the way he would used to in the old days, he was on a throne. He was brought out on stage on a throne, and he just nailed all these awesome songs. So I'm really, really hoping that concert is going to be available. Oh, we're out of platinum again. Okay. I've already burned through my platinum. That sucks. But yeah, so there we go. Pretty cool. Jack Black, Youngblood. Yes, Subtlety. Man, must be early for you. Welcome on up. Best mag set in the game back in year. Yeah, it was like Hunting's Rage. I think they are in fact the same, aren't they? Numerically, they are basically the same stats on control. Todd the Odd saying, I hope they expand Julianos' lore a bit as homage to Lefay, if for nothing else. He's quite the boring god. I mean, wisdom and logic, how interesting can it get? And the Aedra are very passive, aren't they? We actually got Bill Slavisek talking about this a little bit on stream when we spoke to him in Tenfest. We asked him about, you know, favorite characters, favorite Daedra, this kind of thing, because the Daedra are such interesting characters. And he said, yeah, well, it has to be a Daedra, doesn't it? Because the Aedra are so... they don't interfere, so they're inherently less interesting. They're kind of a cypher. We don't know much about them. But yeah, I think that's a really good call. So that would be a really cool way to honor the guy. And let's not forget, you know, in a very superficial, but, you know, it seems fitting, we have got at the moment, where am I looking? Sorry, fragments. Right now, we've got all these, the Stone Wisp of Truth and Law. This is a Julianos-themed year for the Elder Scrolls Online. So I don't know if people at Zos were aware of this, but it seems like maybe they were. So the Robes of Truth and Law that we just received, the Spider, the Mount that we're going to be able to unlock. We can get the first 2 pieces of this in White Strix Mayhem, which is starting tomorrow. Yeah, Law of Julianos. Isn't that fun? For starting a legend, absolutely. Heartbroken. Yeah. Dark Lord Venger, good morning. You missed a little bit of somber conversation regarding Ozzy Osbourne and Julian Lefay, but mostly celebratory. Like the fact that Ozzy went out having just done an absolute banger of a gig in his hometown of Birmingham. Apparently, like, half the city's landmarks were, like, apparently they may have overdone it a little bit. Like, half the city was renamed something to do with Oz. Not literally, of course, but you know what I mean. Like, any opportunity they had to, like, change a sign or put up a billboard or something, apparently it was taken. And with this year being such a great one, it's an amazing year to be an Elder Scrolls fan. Sure, no Elder Scrolls 6, but we're used to that by now. We get an interesting change of direction for ESO. Obviously, some shit news about Zos as well. But Oblivion Remastered, what a cool thing that was and is. Sky Oblivion coming soon. And also, which you guys may not be aware of, I think it's the Tamriel Rebuilt project, which is like quietly going in the background. They've just added this area. They've added bits of Deshaan and Stonefalls to that mod. So they've rebuilt these areas in the Morrowind engine. So you can take your Morrowind characters, leave Vardenfell, and start checking out other parts of Morrowind. Like Narcissus is there. You know, this place. And it is completely different. It's much more... it adheres much more to... well, the type of environment you'd see in Morrowind. You know, the weirdness, the infighting, the inhospitability, all of that stuff. Actually looks really interesting. And you can't really argue with it. You know, this fan project that's been going for over 20 years now. I think it's called Grasping Fortune. That particular edition. Anyway, it is midday on the dot, and I said I would do something else once midday hit. Should we do a quick Vadishran? We did have at least one person here yesterday that was keen on seeing some more Vadishran stuff. Bias Eagle legit was listening to Mama Coming Home and crying like 5 minutes ago, and I just got here and you're all talking about him. Ah. Todd the Odd, no limits to magic. Skyrim was the perfect place for him to shine, because he was the owl in the ancient Nordic pantheon, and the patron god of the Nordic wise men. And shamans and hermits makes sense, yeah. Didn't you have any quests like Mara's in Skyrim, or a presence like the Vigilance of Stendar in the Rift? Good point. Yeah, I'd love to see something like this. You know, acolytes of Julianos and something of that sort. Dude, ran Vadishran after you left yesterday. So easy now with Arc, high DPS and all that. Thank you for flying that flag. That's what I'm trying to say. Because we had... Oh, who was it yesterday? Someone in YouTube chat who was saying they gave up on Vadishran a while back. Maybe they should try it again. And I was encouraging them like, yeah, seriously. You might be shocked at how much easier it has become. Especially if you approach it in the way that I'm suggesting. I mean, play how you want and all that, but I'm just saying, this shit's gonna work. Unless you play the game wildly differently to the way everyone else does. Which I suppose is possible. And you hadn't been in VMA and Vadishran for years, they're so easy now. Yeah, that's exactly my point, Moose. You're quite right. But welcome on in, everybody. Good afternoon. If you're in the UK or continental Europe like me, it just hit midday here. Good morning if you're further west. The Moose saying you got 2 flawless Vadishran runs yesterday, just having never been in there. So, and what were you running? Were you running literally this setup? Because I think the only stuff I've died to there is dumb mistakes. You know? And we've done multiple flawless Vadishrans and VMAs here in the last couple of weeks. Not even trying. Like, literally just chilling, talking to chat, not making the obvious mistakes. And obviously dying here and there to silly stuff. Todd the Odd, there could be a lot of Julianos-related stuff with Sheer Gorath. Yeah, which exactly. Oh, if you weren't here when we were talking about that, I went over a few like basic facts so that everyone has a better sense of who this guy was and what he did. Because a lot of his early contributions people haven't played. Because let's face it, Arena and Daggerfall have dated in ways which... I mean, Morrowind's dated also, but yeah, many huge Elder Scrolls fans haven't played them. I never completed Daggerfall, I will admit. Somewhat shamefacedly. But primarily because I've been so busy with other areas of the Elder Scrolls gaming. Particularly this one. Julianos Mythic. Yeah. Yeah, I really hope that they have something in the works. Either for Elder Scrolls 6 or for future stories in ESO. Like I said, the whole fact that this year's collectibles are Julianos themed may not be coincidental. Oh, so you went with Cruxweaver rather than... Honestly, if you're able to give it another go, I know you haven't had Update 46 for as long as we have. If you're able to give it a go with Hurricane instead, and all these passives helping you out, even sillier, I shit you not. Although the Cruxweaver, the free Crux from that is obviously very nice. Runecarver plus Null is bliss. Excellent, glad to hear it, Ted. Moose, just don't know how to go for score in Vadishran. Well, I'm not the person to ask. As we established yesterday, Looked was here going, dude, I don't even score run in these arenas, but I know this stuff. And thank you for, was it Grenade and a couple other people jumping to my defense? Like, I didn't know that stuff either. If you know, you know. And if you don't, and you want to score push, you might have to look it up or find somebody who can give you those tips verbally, because they circulate. No one's gatekeeping or like trying to hide this stuff. But it's not like you can just look it up on UESP, right? Anyway, let's make sure we're on vet. And let's get going with that. This one, just to manage expectations. Hopefully it'll be a deathless. It is not going to be fast. It probably won't even be a speed run, because I'm going to be stopping and talking to you guys throughout. I'm not going for any kind of fancy stuff. Although I'm sure that would be fun, and I encourage you to do it if you've got the time. All I'm trying to do is encourage people to give these things a go, because they are now easier and easier than ever. And don't feel bad after I've said that if you go in and you die to something. I've died to stuff in here on stream in the last couple of weeks. That's fine. What my point is, not that you won't die, and if you die, you're a tool. It's that it has become easier, more forgiving, more chill. Like, without a doubt. Call of Dice, hello! Morning, Boomer. Boom! I used to work with a Scottish guy who would say boom way too often. Particularly in that accent. Boom! It got quite annoying. I think that's the exception rather than the rule. Generally, it's quite a cool and fun thing to exclaim, isn't it? Oh, put me down, you slag. Yeah, Moose, if you want a score push there, I would definitely advise... I mean, you can ask in chat, but I'm not going to tell you because I've never bothered to do it. Like, I got the trifecta in here and then sort of left. I think I then came back a few months later for all the little meme achievements. All I know is don't ult this boss, because you want to save your ult for the next one. Right, let's kill this guy.
So you come to battle the champion of Mole's Ball.
And he's dead. And his buddy is 40%. Isn't that insane? Absolutely ridiculous. It feels like we're on normal, doesn't it? And we are not.
So far, so good, outsider. Halfway done with the wounding.
Alright, here we go, here we go.
Should let you continue on.
Kill all trash, skip orbs, and don't grab synergies. Yeah. So, in case anyone's wondering, we're referring to these synergies here. So it's a little bit clutch. I have like 4 seconds to go, but if you just do that. And obviously a speed boost helps. There's quite a lot of running in Vadasharan. But ultimately you'll want to like... You want to get yourself different setups and really micromanage the ads. And use your ults a lot more. I'm not going to use it except on bosses, really. And I'm not going to stack these ads either because they're annoying. So the interesting parts of Julianus' lore, like the Knight's Mentor, are also underutilized. I think Elder Scrolls Media needs more representation. More Knightly Order representation. Right. That's the best way to score push Dragon. Yeah, thanks for the tip. And, Moose was saying skip side bosses? Yeah. But make sure you kill all the trash before the last big guy at the end of each hallway. If you kill it, then the other trash despawns. Yes. Gefest. Good morning, morning, morning. Hello there. I'm not going to try to be able to reach top scores. I'm not even going to bother trying to perfect it all. But yeah. Getting trifecta is actually fairly simple as you learned. I'm guessing Moose has the trifecta. Just wondering how to go faster. Because what we're talking about is, if you're not doing what I'm doing and stopping to chat with Twitch and YouTube, now if you run a setup like this, which for anyone's information who's interested, don't worry too much about the gear. It isn't really about the gear. Just got to make sure you have enough pen. I think I have more than enough here. I'm just running Unsul and Nulaka. They do not need to be perfected with 1 Slime Crawl and Velothi Urmage. So I don't even have the Pale Order. But if you're a little bit like if you want to be a little bit safer, absolutely run Pale Order. What I'm doing instead is just slotting Reaving Blows. And that's the key, because it's like, that has been supercharged by the amount of direct damage we can deal per second now with the beam being direct damage in Update 46. That is what makes this possible. You don't lose a ton of power by getting rid of Velothi and putting on Pale Order, but obviously you do lose quite a bit. So if you can run this, you'll feel the difference. But then again, you'll absolutely also feel the difference in terms of heals when you're not beaming, when you're just putting down your dots. Your dots are ticking, you'll be getting healing from that, whereas I get nothing. I'll have to be a little bit more careful and maybe throw in a dodge roll or two. But you can see how the individual fights feel really fast. So what Moose is sort of saying, how do I get to the end and not have more of an impressive score? Because it was like flawless and effortless and everything. But yeah, Dragon can help with that by the sound of it. You can grab, but for score pushing you need to kill those ads in those hallways. Yeah, yeah. Every trash mob has to be killed for max score push though. Don't let any trash light, even in the side rooms. The side bosses can be skipped. Yes, okay, yeah. Hey, Dragon, you're here at the perfect time. So thank you very much for joining us today. Because whilst I thought... I wouldn't have known for sure. The way that you're, like, declaring with a level of confidence. Hey, this is how it goes. Ah, shit, I got the snare. I might... Yeah, I'm just gonna grab this. These ads don't give score, though, do they? I think I've been told that they don't, but that doesn't make it true. Velothi is a pain to get. Oh, really? I have 2 out of 5 pieces. Spent almost an hour trying to get the drop for the world boss. Oh, that sucks. I don't even remember. It's so long ago now. Oh, no, I think I was very lucky with Velothi. Well, Dragon's the perfect person I push every week to get first on my main 2 servers on each platform. Well, there we go. So thank you for stopping by today. That's perfect. Because I never do this. I barely even do these arenas. I don't really enjoy the solo stuff. I have mad respect for the design and for the players that run them. Especially the score push stuff. I really like that. But it's not... I don't derive that much enjoyment out of it personally. So I've never even tried. I didn't even care about the trifectas when they launched. But just sort of got them... because I guess I was good enough to get them fairly easily. Or because they were undertuned, I think, in the case of Badashran. Most ages ago, apparently, using sigils on last boss didn't remove any points. Is that still a thing? I wouldn't know. I literally never use any of the sigils anywhere. I just forget that they're there. Got my Velothi the day it was released. I don't think I got it the very day, but it was pretty early. It was like day 1 or 2, yeah. Erin, got the Velothi, level like Arpanist, all before prog... Yeah, alright, see, you had a prog group the same day. Yeah, those ads need to be killed in the hallways. Yeah. So, again, I don't care about that. Gotcha, gotcha. The 20-second lever chain rooms enemies give score, but I don't know. That's what Dragon's saying, yeah. I think it's just a few random enemies in the whole arena that don't give score. Less than 5 in total. Yeah, these do count. Teach me the ways. Zion control, less casting, a heal, more damage done. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. This is Velothi versus Pale Order. But I wouldn't discourage anyone from using Pale Order if they want to. If they are like a little bit unsure, if they haven't done Badashran or Maelstrom that many times, But I'm genuinely not kidding. As long as you are not brand new to the game, if you know how to, you know, if you're comfortable with the movement, with quick bar swaps, and, you know, the basic stuff like that, and you can do all that without really having to, like, watch the keyboard and watch your hands, but can just keep an eye on the screen and let your muscle memory do all of the footwork and whatnot, like, a setup like this should be more than enough. The only iffy bits are when, well, heavy attacks, you might want to dodge or block. Pay attention to certain mechanics. And be careful, if you don't have pale order, when you are placing hots and, you know, refreshing buffs and dots and things like that. Not hots, you know what I mean. Dots. Because then you're not getting any heals in those few moments. Well, that one's easy. And is this the boss? Zion Control saying the Scrivener's Hall lead was no fun. Again, I got that so quickly. Had to buy it from a vendor in Imperial City. They're good to know about weekly vendors have leads. Yep, that's very true. If anyone is, like, LeBro, if you are struggling or just getting pissed off chasing a particular lead, definitely check the leads that are sold by vendors in Imperial City, Infinite Archive, and so on. Not pure. Not pure. Welcome on in, everybody. Thank you so much for the raid, and a hearty, hearty welcome to you all on this lovely Wednesday afternoon. This is Khan. You're watching Ninja Pulls. Sorry, I don't know why I'm doing the cheesy voice. I guess it comes naturally to me. I'm a cheesy kind of guy. How you doing, Not Pure? Hello, Khan, mate. Hello yourself. Hope you're having a good day, a good week. We started off the stream with a bit of somber chat about Julian Lefay, the father of the Elder Scrolls, who passed away yesterday, and of course Ozzy Osbourne as well, the father of so many metal things and wonderful things. And but yeah, we were mostly celebrating what awesome work they did and the contribution they've made, particularly Julian Lefay. So Julianos was named after this guy. He was like one of the, you can look him up. I'm not going to repeat everything I said, but it's a huge deal. He was like one of the creators of the Elder Scrolls. He directed the first 2 games in the series, Battlespire as well. He did some voiceovers. He solo coded huge amounts of Daggerfall. Absolute legend. Very sadly passed away. I think he was only 59 yesterday, no, I think it was yesterday he passed. And the god Julianos is named after him, so people were saying in chat that, hey, we should all swing by the Chapel of Julianos over in Skingrad at some point. Just head on in there, the great Chapel of Julianos, and yeah, and have a little moment and say, thanks for the Elder Scrolls, Julian. 2 trial leads available this week, Todd the Odd. There we go. Not Pure, hope you're good. What were you up to today? Yeah, we are good, I think. And Dragon, if you have more questions, feel free to ping me or whisper. Actually, Dragon and Moose, please feel free to have this conversation in chat, because I'm sure there are people here, probably including me, who will learn something and benefit from it. So feel free to go private. We're talking about like score push strats in Vanishran, which I'm not doing right now. I'm just taking my time talking to chat and showcasing a very, very easy way to get smooth, deathless, even the trifecta if you don't already have it. And it's still going to be possible in update 47, but it'll be different. It's not going to be as easy as it is right now. Yeah, sad day, man, sad day. Indeed, yeah. But, you know, the best funerals I've been to have always had a celebratory tone, as well as all the rest. That's how you do it. Like a wake, you know? Like an Irish wake, if anyone's ever been to one of those. Moose, now that beams are direct damage, if using staff backbar, would lightning be better? No. Only if you are doing almost nothing but beaming. Those... It's elemental... No, ancient knowledge. Which means 12%. Okay, That 12% looks epic, right? You increase your damage done with dots and status effects, or with lightning stuff, you increase your direct damage and channel damage by 12%. Yeah, 12% is huge, don't get me wrong. But how much of your damage is actually direct? Let's have a look. Yeah, there we go. So direct, direct, direct. No, sorry, that's not direct. It's still only like 70%. You know, which is really surprising. But the Languid Eye, especially in these bursty fights, the Languid Eye, I mean, Blockade is mad. Hurricane deals a lot of damage, people sleep on it. So, yeah, obviously we've got some more in there. 69! Oh no, concussion. That takes us, 69.6. So it's still, I would say that once you get into like 75, 80%, then yeah, the dagger passives might start to be overtaken by that 12%. Because what's 69% of 12? It's roughly 8%, isn't it? It's just above 8%. That's not worth sacrificing daggers, and particularly Quick Cloak. But yeah, once you're getting into the ridiculous territory of like 80 plus, 85%, I've definitely tested some Arcanist setups where the damage over time accounted for 85% plus of the damage. Single target. And that is when actually an Inferno Star front bar really starts to make sense. Especially if you have to move in and out of range. And you can still light attack and all the rest of it. Erin. Just if I'm not here when other questions come up, I gotcha, Dragon. Yeah, thank you. So I hope that answers your question. And yeah, if it's on the back bar, then absolutely not, because it doesn't carry over. There are still builds out there, I think. There certainly were for years, where people would say, "Nah, man, use a blockade use an Inferno on the back bar because it carries over to your front bar." No, it doesn't. Obviously, it doesn't. It's only when that weapon is equipped. So it's so many times. Why don't you use lightning back bar on Sorcerer? It's like, because it's worse. I've done the testing. Come on. And Erin, Beam will not benefit from direct damage buff from Beam. You're not beaming when you're on a back bar, so yeah. And not pure. I will be raiding and running, mate. Gotta get some rest. Been cooked. Did a bunch of trials before the drugs wore off. Catch you, mate. Look forward. Yeah, look after the lurkers. Thank you. Will do. And thanks so much for the raid. Really appreciate that. Have a fantastic Wednesday. Yeah, and now Luke's saying the same thing. Zion Control raise his hand. Did you have a question? Let's just get rid of this guy real quick. I don't know why I'm circling him like this. There's almost no point. I'm sure I've done it much faster than that, but you get the idea. You can just ignore the mechanics and just, yeah. But I'm sure everyone is aware of this by now. I'm just repeating it in case someone is just stopping by who hasn't seen this particular setup work. And hey, look, how you doing? We're doing this again in Vadashrine today because we had someone yesterday saying they hadn't been in Vadashrine for a while. They had to give up. They were saying they'd never cleared it on Veteran and maybe they should try it before everything gets nerfed. And I was making the case that you don't have to... You don't have to do it because it's going to be impossible next patch. Just do it because it's really fun right now. So Dragon, if you're still here, if I do what I just did and I just kill the Daedroth, I still get score, do I not, from the little ads that despawn as a result? These are questions I've never even thought. I suppose I've wondered about them, but I never. Shoot, and here I do need a self-heal. No, you need to kill the little ones. Gotcha, gotcha. Could you fucking heal, do you think? Thank you. Lightning is far better solo than Inferno most of the time. Only when using Exploiter, exactly, yeah. Yeah, you see it a lot. If you were here when Maya and Grovex were doing their race in Vadisharan, both of them were doing that thing. Lightning staves, Exploiter for burst. And obviously, if you're going for score, and these do the same as well, you can just despawn them. If you're going for score, don't do what I'm doing, and don't bother with the essence of health and all of that stuff. I don't see any around here. Just skip it. Really? Still nothing? Got a nice lucky banner tick there, I'll take it. Should I opening a portal? There we go. Kenny Harry, am I the weird one having synergy on scroll down mouse? No, I suspect there are people who do that. I know people who put a potion on the mouse wheel. I haven't got anything bound to the mouse wheel, except zooming in and out. But loads of people do that, I think. Really? No essence of health? Come on, man. I took the trouble to actually go and pick it up. I did actually make a setup for this. Oh, you skip the orbs on your second run, even then it's pretty easy. Yeah, I don't know why. I enjoy picking these up. And I guess from the standpoint of we're trying to showcase something to give people the confidence to run this who perhaps haven't had the confidence to run it previously, then picking up those health orbs and the extra resources is not the worst idea. Just lets you switch to sustain food and still have stupid amounts of HP. Thank you, Looked. Link the video that explains the full mechanics. If you're curious, do you send that to me on Discord? Let's have a look. Oh, I don't see it. Is this in... Oh, there we go. Thank you, man. Right, I'm just going to paste that into chat. That is the link. If it's recommended by Looked, it must be pretty good. And just to recap what you said about it. explains full scoring mechanics if you're curious. It is pretty complex. Yeah, the ants have to be killed before you kill the one at the end. Yeah, if you kill the gatekeeper, you destroy the score you would have got. I always assumed that, but I wasn't sure. Didn't even know the secrets existed until I went to the void pitch die. Yeah, when I did the stupid, the hoppy insect boss the other day, you were like, what the actual fuck is this? Yeah, if I wanted to push, I think I would just do it off stream. Because I'm a very chatty Cathy. And our chat on this channel tends to be very chatty as well, which we love. So it would feel weird and bad, and you know, just ignoring chat or not being able to tend to it for a while. And as people have observed, I often get behind anyway. How do you kill the enemies in the 20-second chain rooms without being teleported back out? I guess you take one extra synergy, or you make sure you have a lot of speed. You get to the end of the corridor, beam them, and blip out. I really don't know. Score pushing can be done while chatting. Oh, of course it can. Loads of people do it. I'm just explaining why I'm not going to do it. I'm definitely not going to give it my best in either department, you know? Where's the bossy boss? There he is. Oh, why do I keep doing this? I already saved myself a... Alright, here we go. Not sure why I bother with this guy. He's just annoying. And like I said, we don't care about the score, so why am I even killing him? It makes no sense! So yeah, while doing SCP, but you're an assumer as well. Use the synergies that don't count against you in those hallways. Oh, so when you said no synergies, yeah, we're just talking about sigils. But yeah, obviously if you have to extend the time where you're in there, do it. Yeah. Let it take everything to make them follow you. Arcanist is very nice for that because you can look at chat while beaming, depending on the fight. But then, how am I going to dance? Hang on. Need to switch before I go in there, don't I? Dance. Yeah, just moving around. It's a joke. Obviously, I don't need to look at my screen while I'm doing this. Who else has got weird stuff bound to their scroll wheel? I've heard people doing it for potions, synergies, what else? Thanks for all the answers. Yeah, you're getting like chipped in from multiple sides here. But it's good. We got 80 people here hanging out. Welcome on in, everybody. Not everyone is interested in score pushing, but if they do want to try it, they've all learned something today. South Park style. I've learned something today. I had to explain to my mum the other day the phrase "I was today years old" when I learned. She just could not wrap her head around that particular sentence construction. But that was kind of cute. I fucking hate that phrase. I don't think it's one I've ever used, but you see it a lot. I'm not paying any attention to how many of these Essence of Health power-ups I've actually picked up. There should be one more though, right? I guess not. Either I missed one or I got them all. Essence of Fortitude, Fortitude Remnant. I was today years old. Yeah, exactly. Falls into the Reddit cringe sphere. Same with puppers. Yeah, that I did get a weird part of me that I didn't know existed, or that I hadn't paid any attention to for a while. Did get triggered on Zoss's last stream when there were lots of dogs in the background. I think Gina was talking about, like, it was 4th of July coming up and she was giving the dog medication so it wouldn't be terrified of the fireworks. And chat was just talking about puppers, puppers, puppers. I was like, just call it a fucking dog. Like, I don't know. It seems a little bit infantilizing, doesn't it? Geberand, break free and roll dodge. And yeah, Kenny Harry as well, CC break. So you got synergy, but CC break as well. Oh, I see, like, one is click, middle mouse button, one is scroll. Gotcha. Design and control. The weapon sets from here are fun to have in the old sticker book. Absolutely, yeah. So yeah, if anyone hasn't done this, you know, definitely hop on in. And at this point, it is definitely safe for me to switch food, because I do not need this much health. Whereas sustain is a little bit wonky, or can be. Mayhem prep, doing Poland prep. Need to prepare food, pack my shit, and prepare the car. Well, nice one, Kazi. The dog medication. No, it was something. It was something pretty heavy. Like, honestly, I am not an expert on this, so I should be careful. What the fuck is my character doing? Why is he turning this way? Anyone aware of this bug? Look, I'm moving forward, and he just turns to the left. I hope that doesn't happen during the boss fight. That's weird. Oh, gross. I lolled twice in one message. Ugh. Cringe. So yeah, the deal with the dog, if you live in an area, or if you might live in an area where there are going to be fireworks a couple of times a year, most dogs are going to have a shit time. You might get lucky and your dog is just cool with it. But the best thing to do is, when they are young, dogs, and to a lesser degree other animals, but particularly dogs, they have a particular time period between like 12 weeks and 16 weeks. It's not exact, obviously. Barley doesn't give a fuck what week it is, but you know, generally speaking, it's within that sort of time frame. There's like a month-long period where they can be inured to certain things. So you introduce them to kids, firework noises. Just play fireworks on the TV or very loudly on the stereo. And seriously, this works. You introduce them to small kids. You introduce them to other dogs, as many other dogs as you can. A cat, ideally. You know, just like give them the world tour of experiences that you don't want to fuck them up later in life. And yeah, it genuinely works. These are things that, I guess, because of the way evolution and animal behavior has been over, you know, tens of thousands of years, these are things that their parent, the mum, would have, in the same way that you see like baby mongoose are taught to dismember a scorpion. Their mum throws them a dead scorpion with the tail removed. first, and then a live scorpion with the tail removed, and then a real live scorpion with the tail still attached. So it's like a thing that the animals train. Dogs do like a version of that, just by exposing their young to certain experiences that they then know are safe and it's not a problem, like certain types of behavior and whatnot. And we can harness that and make the dogs more. We can fortify them against experiences which might be unpleasant or confusing, basically. And this is not pseudoscience. This is a fact. So if you do get a dog, like my sister's just got a dog, and she already knew this stuff, but she's had this conversation with Maya, who knows a lot about this kind of thing. I think that's the way to do it. But obviously, if you missed that trick, I don't see that it's particularly wrong to medicate the animal, especially if they are absolutely, like, cowering in terror when there are fireworks on. So yeah. Not a bug, it's a feature. Hey, how's it going? Ted Meister, what did you miss? Not much. Talking about all sorts of crap while we are working our way through Vadashran. Best class for DPS. Right now, Arcanist, but don't worry about it. We've got subclassing now. M6VE2. Yeah, the one you can get the best grasp of. Player execution is by far and away the most important factor. Not just execution, but knowledge. So, and we've got subclassing now in the game. So, for example, right now, this is an Arcanist and a Nightblade and a Sorcerer. So really, really don't worry about it. If you're new to the game, Adric Spear, free damage without slotting anything extra. Yeah, maybe not the strongest, but one of the really easiest things to slot.
So, you wish to meet destruction? Someone wishes to meet you.
I almost went the wrong way there. Don't do that. I may have to do the fucking mechanic. Fuck it, let's go for it. Oof. That was close. Like, ideally, you want to kill him faster than I just did. Or... I mean, ideally you'll run in with some crux generated already, so that will already help massively. Or just go and do the mechanic. You could easily die otherwise. What skill line did you put in for this VMA? It's just Herald, Assassination, Stormcalling, that's it. I had one day, I need the Force Count to explain subclassing to long-term non-players like myself. I already made a video, dude. Explains it all. It's very, very simple. It's literally just... You must keep one skill line from your original class, one or more. You can keep 3, you can have 2, you can have 1, but you cannot have 0. And you can only use class mastery scripts and class sets that are from your original original class. So this is an Arcanist, but that is literally the only thing about it that matters. Class mastery, class sets, one ability, one skill line. It's actually very, very easy to understand. The only thing that's a bit of a pain to understand is how the rank up process works. You know, how to unlock the skill lines that you want. So bearing in mind what Dragon was saying, if you are score pushing, the thing to do is to... You can still bring these over to the troll. Just make sure they all die before you kill the troll. Otherwise they will despawn and you don't get credit for them. As people have been very kindly explaining. Yeah, I'm just Ellie sussing the actual flies. What the actual fly? God damn it. It's not what I meant to do at all. What? Oh, too late to test. But apparently beaming from here, I wasn't hitting it? That's surprising. What would my DK tank look like? Funnily enough, HyperEoxys just did a video on this. I saw him post. Yes, I haven't watched it yet. But based on the icons in the thumbnail, it is exactly the tank setup that I've been running. So you would stick with... I mean, obviously, it depends, right? It depends what content you're running, what the group you're with, and what the group needs. But Earthen Heart, so you can run molten weapons. I mean, magma armor is not useful in the way that it might have been previously, but you can then run Stone Giant as well for when you're bored. I tend to use it a lot. You can then run Winter's Embrace from the Warden for that wonderful fat self-heal. Frost Cloak, useful passives, some other utilities that you're probably not going to use, but basically Cloak and Polar Wind. But like I said, you know, watch Hyper's video, he'll explain it better. And then, yeah, the last one, for me in Dungeons, I'm running Daedric Summoning for the Atro there, and I'm not using anything else from that skill line. I think Bound Armor is slotted on the back when I can, Bound Aegis. Or I run Gravelord. Again, just for the ult. Because if you're in Saxhleel, I mean, you'll find that your teammates won't need Major Force a lot of the time. They'll just be at the crit cap. If you just bring Lucent and something like Crimson to get them to the pen cap. Sometimes they're at the pen cap as well. Again, depends what your DDs are running. But that is an idea of what your DK tech might look like. So Winter's Embrace with Earthen Heart and then something else. Probably it's going to be the Necro ult or the Sork ult. But again, you might go with Siphoning for ult gen or something. I don't know. Erin, is the Sork class mastery good enough stat-wise to justify using it on banner? No, I don't think so. As far as I'm aware. I mean, I tested them when they were on PTS, and Necro and Arcanist were the only ones that I really found any use for. If you need the sustain, and the charm from the Warden one can be useful, I get it. Maybe. But Sork, I don't think so. In PvP, maybe. But any, other opinions are welcome. Ted Meister started doing VMA. Awesome.
This beast is under my protection, Hunter.
Oh, come on, I bashed you. Gotta be quicker.
Cunning fledgling, but do you have the strength for more?
Again, I'm just gonna do these utterly unnecessary. You know, I'm playing for time here. Up at 99k, Ted Meister, nice one. And if you're clearing VMA, that's probably more of an achievement, isn't it, in the long run? In the scheme of things. Especially if you're having fun with it. Like, a lot of people do not enjoy Maelstrom Arena the first time they do it on Veteran. The first 10 times they do it on Veteran. And again, these are not necessary. If you don't care about your speed and score, then why the hell not do them? The only thing I would say maybe genuinely is worth avoiding is the side boss that I'm going to be doing shortly. Last time I was in here, like last week, I had the shittest experience with that boss ever. He barely stayed in one place for 2 seconds at a time. So I just couldn't get any damage in, and then off he would go. Sucked. But yeah, one of the things we'll hopefully be doing a little bit later is just grabbing a few more dailies for the PvP event, which starts tomorrow. So, as I was saying yesterday, if you're the best way to experience it, get yourself a build. I will be taking a look at a couple of build options if you're interested. Kindly supplied by my buddy Pure. Just as inspiration, more than anything else. But yeah, so the best way to do it is just get into Zero, enjoy it. But if you don't have time to do that every day, what the hell? Oh, this one's still alive. I've made a complete mess of this one. Ignore everything I'm doing. It's still easy, but you know what I mean. Like, I totally fucked that up. Attacked the wrong Spriggan. But yeah, so, for PvP, if you're not one of those people who jumps into PvP and just absolutely loves it, do yourself a favor and do a couple of the dailies in advance. You can do a lot of them. And then, if you've got a day where you don't really have time to get in and do a daily from scratch, you've got one pre-made, ready to go. I know everyone knows this, but just in case it is of use. I feel like I'll mention it. Yeah, we missed a green one back there, but we'll be coming back this way. I'll try to remember that it's there. Put Camo Hunter on the back. Nice. You know, and if you need that savagery and prophecy while you're back there. Alright, so I legit hate this guy. You can get lucky and he stays still or does a channel, but he has a tendency to interrupt you the moment you come over to him. He'll do a knockback and you don't even have time to block. There are just a lot of things I find troubling about this. Let's just ult straight away and hope for the best. Yeah, like that. At least he stayed for the duration of the ult. I count that as a win. You see what I mean? And you just immediately get that stagger the moment you port over. And it's very rarely worth putting down wall, because he'll just do that. I had time to block this time, thank you. And he's not jumping that far today. Yeah, this is about as quick and clean as it gets, actually. The one I had last time, he was literally jumping so far across the room I'd have to grapple twice to catch up with him. Such a pain in the butt. Sweat Allergy, hello there, and thanks for your thoughtful comments on Discord in the last couple of days. I agree with a lot of what you're saying, actually. So, I guess I'm biased, but my first attempt / clear, I went for the Magma Dude as last. It was problematic. Yeah, I didn't understand how the arenas worked, so I just went from left to right. The first, like, 4 or 5 times I was in here, I don't think I had any clue as to, you know, if you're stamina, you want to do the green one last, etc. I just want to get out of... There we go. You don't necessarily need a self-heal slotted to do this bit, but I prefer. I like to have one, just in case. So welcome on in if you joined us recently. We are just doing a bit of Vadashran for fun, showcasing, again, something I've done already a few times on the stream, this particular combo of Arcanist. It doesn't have to be a base Arcanist. It's a little bit easier with this patch if it is. If you're not running on a base Arcanist, then you won't really be affected much at all by the patch changes coming in Update 47, but it's got Herald of the Tome, Assassination, and Storm Calling. And Hurricane is the only actual Sork ability we're using actively. We're not using any Nightblade abilities actively, except for Execute ults, where we use Soul Harvest. So it's very, very simple. It's one of these typical builds that we're seeing a lot of in Update 46 that benefits enormously from stacking powerful and complementary skill lines, right? And I am doing all the secrets and getting all the extra resource and all that stuff. Swit, what's the add-on that gives all those pink circles and cones? That is this, in fact. I've just been rewriting the script for Maya's Quick Start Guide. She did this video a couple of years ago nearly, and we're redoing it because subclassing, scribing have been added to the game since. It's literally, if you go into gameplay, combat cues, custom colors. You turn the... I mean, you can't see it very well. But yeah, that's the deal. It's base game. Gameplay, custom colors. So you can click test, and you can change it to whatever color you want. A lot of people use bright blue, like baby blue, bright pink, white sometimes. White can be problematic if you're doing Ice Reach or some shit, but anything that's going to stand out, because actually a lot of places, I mean, just look at the area up ahead. It's very orange. Like, you could easily miss the default translucent red. So you'd want to turn up the brightness and then change the color. There are add-ons that make it like a rainbow. Nothing to do with pride or anything, although it should be. They're like a changing, kaleidoscopic thing. That's pretty fun. Also, thanks for trying to be level-headed most of the time. Well, at least you try. That's step one, isn't it? Very few people are capable of doing it without trying, so... And, well then, I've been doing veteran trans without the usual diarrhea. Unable to see what's an obnoxious player effect and what is boss stuff. Well, I'm glad you mentioned it, because that just vindicates the fact that we've put it in the video. It is for new players. You know, don't forget to do your mount training, all this kind of stuff. There are a bunch of new systems in the game now. Heroes Return as well. Probably going to get mentioned, so it was time to update that stuff. And yeah, it just vindicates the decision to include that. Oh. Very easy to miss some of these green ones if you don't hear it. I think that's the last one, right? Yeah. Moose. So many people don't know about basic in-game settings. It's true. A new player tip needs to be to go through all the settings. Yeah, that'd be a very short video, wouldn't it? Hey, tip number 1. Read your fucking tooltips. Tip number 2. Go through the fucking settings. Maya out. Right, time for the most boring boss ever. I know he's not so bad if you don't do him last. If you're on a Magicka character and you do the blue arena last, this guy's fine, but... Ugh. Oh, hang on. I'm gonna want Major Breach for this. And one beam and he's gonna run away. Ult. Okay. Mechanic. I don't know why bash so frequently doesn't work on these. I like to bash the first one before I leave. Because he should... No? Apparently not. He should change... Yeah, there we go. I really don't like this guy. Let's go ahead and do the mechanic again, just to be safe. That was almost certainly skippable. And now he'll change again. Yeah, thank you. I really don't like that. It's not very difficult, but it's like, come on. Give me something about the fight that's enjoyable, rather than just tedious. Am I the only one who feels that way, or is this a typical thing? So Storm calling over Dawn's Wrath. Kenny Harry, this is for solo stuff. So Hurricane is obviously fantastic. If you're a damage dealer and you want major resolve, there's nothing better than this. Also, Sork passives are really good, and I don't really want to run around with... Dawn's Wrath is very strong on single target stuff, whereas this benefits me everywhere. So that's the sort of calculus. Dawn's Wrath also doesn't have major resolve, so if you go with Dawn's Wrath, you've got literally no major resolve in your entire setup, and you'll have to use something like balance, which is doable. But yeah, that's what it's for. Dawn's Wrath is like the... I haven't used it anywhere except the dummy in update 46, but I think that's more to do with the type of trials that I'm running. All of the groups that I'm in have been doing, well, either I've not been on a DPS, but if you're doing something like Asylum, right, then the beam is absolutely fantastic, by which I mean the Execute, Radiant Oppression. So that, yeah, there are absolutely times when Dawn's Wrath is clearly the way to go. But yeah, other times, and I'd like to see more of that. You know, I'd like to see these two, Herald and Assassination, have more competitors, but one of the big complaints with Update 46 has been, well, you run those pretty much everywhere you go as a DD. Which, you know, doesn't feel great. I'm being lazy. Watching chat instead of watching the AoEs. Honestly, if you just walk in a circle, you're generally going to auto-avoid everything. It's so funny. These encounters with her. I don't even have to kill this guy, I can just wait. There we go. Holy shit. I took a lot of damage on my way in there. That seems a bit mean. Come on, me Brugger. And we should be done. Done. Wasn't fast, but it was smooth, you know? Chill.
We did not summon such a creature for this challenge.
What are you meaning for the mayhem? Probably all sorts. Let's have a look at that next, in fact. I do have a Nightblade setup which somewhat works. It took nearly an hour. I love it. People struggling with that shrinking chain of enemies DPS check for years? Really? Like how? It was always... Even when it was brand new. And also you could just wait in the middle, couldn't you? And they would walk all the way onto her, and then they would disappear, so you could just hug the boss. If you, hey, Ireline, welcome on in. Moose, I don't know how even on release, only need to kill one if you can't nuke the boss. They have almost no health. Yeah, and you don't even need to kill any. You could just chill in the middle and ignore the mechanic, I think. And it was a little bit tight. I remember being told by my friend who decided to just skip it. He said it was possible. I'm not sure if I ever did it though, so yeah, don't take my word for it. Ireline, hello, hello. All right, let's loot this thing. There's nothing in there that I need because we're already all done here. But there we go. That is probably... We might do some more solo arena stuff as part of the 24-hour summerthon, which we're doing tomorrow. That's going to be me and Maya here for 24 hours. It's going to be amazing. Loads of fun stuff. You're going to be able to make us do voices, all kinds of crazy shit. You're going to be able to make me do some difficult game challenges by myself, which will be, well, it won't be fun for me, but hopefully it'll be fun for everyone else. There are some levels in Doom, I think Doom Eternal, maybe Dark Ages, that I'm going to have to do if we hit certain sub-goals and whatnot. But yeah, we're also going to be doing some PvP, and in the spirit of that, let's take a look at some builds on UESP. First, sweat allergies. So, if anyone checks my logs and the amounts of deaths in it, let it be known. I've been doing it without the custom color thing. The weight around my ankles, the blindfold on my eyes was removed today. Well, this is what happens when you hang out with Ninja Pulls. Not just with me, Khan, but with Maya and the community in general. Dragon and Lucht have been dropping knowledge as well in chat today. Good things happen. Knowledge spreads via osmosis. Bright pink with max brightness is great. It is, yeah. Alright, let me just double check that Pure is happy for me to showcase this stuff. Whoa, he's sent me a lot. What a legend. Okay, I've got a setup. So this is my friend. I literally asked him, have you got any favorites? So this is not based on, like, unkillable, any nonsense like that. This is based on one of my good buddies who's really good at PvP, who's somewhat immersed, I would say, in the meta, but doesn't follow it slavishly. So let's have a look at what he's recommending. Okay. Here it is. Oh, that's just the same. So what's he running here? This is a Khajiit, Warden. I don't know if it needs to be a Warden. Yeah, there's no class mastery there. So it could be a Warden, a Templar, or a Sork. Jabs is the main thing. I'm going to recreate this, I think. Just because I asked this guy. This is pure envelope for those who know him. Stuck waiting on PlayStation to come back up. Yeah, stupid console maintenance. So bored. I'm so sorry, guys. I hope I can alleviate some of the boredom with this stream. Already put some laundry away, shaved my head and showered. I mean, I'm hoping that shaving your head is like a thing that you do typically, or you're so bored that you just flipped out Sid Barrett style and just decided to shave all the hairs off your entire body. Eyebrows as well. Now I'm putting more laundry on. Shave my head every 2 weeks. Oh, I assumed so. Just trying to make a gag. This means I can literally share screen with you and show you all kinds of little tricks in VVH. Wicked. Ah, Moose, there we go, look. And again, good things happen when you're hanging out with Ninja Pools. I don't even have to do it. You don't even have to rely on me. Sounds scary. So, Shem Secundo. Do you have the written version of this build on your website or YouTube? I'm afraid I don't, but I can share the link in chat. Right now, in fact. Let me just... I can't type ninja. Apparently that's a little bit worrying, isn't it? So I'm not making any promises. I haven't even tried this. So this is not a recommendation from me. This is a recommendation from a friend that I trust. And I asked him what his current favorites are in terms of Update 46 PvP setups. And he pointed me to a couple of different ones. So this one was the one he was having the most fun with. So it is Rallying Cry, so be aware that you don't want to be, if you're small scaling, you don't want to be doubling up with someone else who's already got Rallying Cry. So that will become more useful if you're with 2, 3, 4 people. Gallant Chain, that's just the quest reward. One Piece Trainee, fairly standard. Bloodspawn, again, pretty normal. I get a lot of you who do PvP will have one of these already. And then Mechanical Acuity. So again, a crafted set. Trainee heavy. Mechanical Acuity on the front bar. Battle Axe specifically. Sharpened with a charged weapon enchant. And an Ice Staff with Defending. That's fairly typical. And weapon damage enchantment. So, it doesn't look all that complicated, does it? You got Crit Surge from the Sork. You got your Major Resolve from the Sork. Again, like the best form of offensive Major Resolve that you can get your hands on currently. And, Shem, sorry, I realized you just asked on YouTube, and I posted the link on Twitch. So let me just fix that and post it in YouTube as well. But yeah, it's not my build. It's not a Ninja Pools thing. There we go. There's the link. Hope that is useful. Is Talk of the Last Alien King still worth using? I still see people using it, so I would imagine so. But I should stress, like, while we're going through all of this stuff, I'm not a PvP specialist. So although I can offer opinions and stuff, I'm generally, if you ask me stuff, I'm probably just going to back away from it, just out of respect for the people who know more than me, and out of respect for you guys, because I don't want to give you info which turns out to be incomplete or straight up bad. You know, I know how easy it is to say the wrong thing, or to make the wrong assumption in ESO. It's a very complex game. So, yeah. Anyway, here we are. I want to get back in the game fairly soon and maybe build this and take it for a spin. But Animal Companions, Adric Spear, Storm Calling. Obviously, all of the passives in each one. From Sork, we've just got the 2. From Adric Spear, we've just got the 2. Binding Javelin, specifically. So, Stam. It's not a knockback, but the Stun, which is generally more useful. And Biting Jabs, again. So, Stamina. I should have said. 52 into Magicka, 12 into Health in this case, and then into Stamina. Tweak that if you're not a Khajiit, if you're bringing something else that has, I don't know, like a Nord or something like that. A lot of people use Nords in PvP. A lot of people use Khajiits as well. And yeah, then we got the battle axe in the front bar with Executioner. So that's your mag, and these two are stam. So most of the skills are stamina, like the spams, but all the dots are magic. A soul trap, hurricane, and a couple of decent heals. That is your oh shit button, the shield ult, spell wall, and onslaught. Grants penetration equal to the amount ignored from the target. I can see this working. Don't have a burst heal. It's the only thing I'd say. If you're like me and you can easily get carried away with going on the offensive, you want to be very careful. Make sure your hots are rolling. I mean, this one's easy. It lasts 33 seconds. And this one is only 5. So don't stay on the offensive for too long. Make sure you're getting back there. Make sure the Netch, the Vigor, and the Hurricane are running, I guess. Because you don't have an oh shit burst heal to get you out of trouble. I mean, this is fairly strong. It almost counts as a bursty heal, but it isn't. You know, it's not like Polar Wind or something like that. Oh, the Vadishran build. Shem, right. Okay, well, I'll just show you that very quickly. It's very, very simple. But yeah, Erin, are you here? Any other PvPers want to jump in with a verdict on this? Or with thoughts on this? CPs, I'm guessing on what you'd expect. Wind Chaser, Survivor's Spite, and Walking Fortress. Oh, I see. Right. No, what am I talking about? I was going to say, what the fuck is Wind Chaser? Survival Instincts. So, yeah, status effects, Godya, Celerity, Standard, Pain's Refuge, fairly standard, sustained by suffering. Those are the 4 typical ones. Focus Mending, Duelist, Rebuff, Ironclad, and Biting Aura, okay. So not that many defensive CPs. Just a couple. Well, a healing and a defensive one. Let's take a look at the raw data. So that is a 30k health setup if you're a Khajiit. 25k mag. 18k stam. Stam recovery is very high. Right, Ozorga. And let's take a look at the armor. So, it's heavy on the head, on the chest, and the legs. And that is it. So you got medium on the shoulders and the boots, and the smallest pieces, sash and gloves, light. So 3 heavy, 2 medium, 2 light. Nice high resists. Yeah, this looks fine, doesn't it? Looks fun. Angelo, hey Khan, do you guys at Ninja Pulse have group composition for trials? I would love to know what you guys run and which classes, thanks. I will gladly share some logs from recent weeks, but we're all on break at the moment, but it won't surprise you to know that DDs are all Arcanists bar 1, then you've got the support guy. And I think the Leo group switched, but only recently. We were just trying in the first 2-3 weeks of Update 46. Let's get back in the game. Don't need to look at this anymore. But yeah, many thanks to Pure for sending me that. And I posted the link in both Twitch and YouTube if you want to check that out. If you want to try it or just use it for inspiration, I'm definitely going to try this. And it doesn't rely on class mastery or a class set or anything like that. But yeah, Angelo, so we switched in the last few weeks to Herald of the Tome, Assassination, and Gravelord. And tanks, we had, main tank was DK Warden Necro, I believe. Off tank, I honestly can't remember. And healers, you will probably be able to guess. Both with siphoning, one with green balance. Yeah, one with restoring light. But yeah, it was a little bit different because this is a group doing the hard modes in Lucent Citadel. But basically, if it's an organized group, the thing you want to look out for is Gravelord, which gives everyone a crap ton of penetration. So you want to make sure that you're not like running Alkosh and providing unnecessary levels of penetration from Gravelord and all this kind of stuff. But no, the short answer is no, we don't have set in stone comps because it's different for every group. It's very, very tricky. And if the raid lead isn't in a position that they can put together their own comp, then honestly, what are they doing raid leading? Or if it's a group that's so chill and they don't need a group comp, well then they don't need one. You know, if they're just kind of bimbling their way through, getting vet stuff done for the first time, not really worried about clean clears or fast clears, but just learning mechanics, then comps are less needed. And you don't need a raid lead who's like super down. But generally, a raid lead, any raid lead, and this is not me setting expectations too high, I hope. They ought to be someone who has the time. And it doesn't have to take long. You know, an hour a week. Probably not even that. They ought to have an understanding of the group, an understanding of the game. Those three ingredients: the time, understanding of the group and game, to be able to put together a comp which suits that particular group for that trial. It's not always super easy. You do need to invest a bit of time, but yeah, I think that's why you don't see spreadsheets of comps posted that often. It's like, this is the best. What tends to happen is people will share, or here's what my group did in Lucent Citadel, or here's what we got the trifecta with in Dreadcell Reef, or what have you. You know, it's that kind of thing. And now, Shem, you wanted to see what this build was? It's very simple. This patch, I would recommend having an Arcanist and using the Shocking Banner. Next patch, you don't need to worry about that. It could be anything you want. And you don't need necessarily to run Assassination either. You do still get a ton of benefit from Soul Harvest. Not so much from Master Assassin in solo content, because you can't often flank stuff. So that one's a little bit dead. But from Soul Harvest, Executioner, obviously, and Pressure Points. Hemorrhage is obvious as well, but that's not necessarily the only way to get that. Liberated 9092, thank you very much for the sub. Welcome on in. And thank you very much, that's very kind. That has moved the ninja one step forward on the top there. And yeah, Shem, so that's the main thing. It's those three. We did do it the other day with a DK. I think that was Kazi asking specifically for a Dragon Knight, because that's the character on which they do absolutely everything. So we dropped Storm Calling and had Herald Assassination with Draconic Power instead, and then got Major Resolve from Volatile Armor instead. So that works, but it wasn't quite as powerful, but honestly, it was a bit more tanky and still pretty freaking strong. You didn't feel that much weaker. So there are a bunch of variations you could do on this. And as for the gear, just make sure you got the sustain and the pen that you need. But in this case, I've got Unsoul because it just works. Sulzan would also work really, really well. If you're picking up the souls, that's awesome. Might be actually a little bit stronger. And then Null Arca. But you could go with Unsoul and Sulzan. That might be the best overall. Liberated, been watching for ages on YouTube. It made sense. Well, thank you very, very much indeed. Right, well, we've got about half an hour left. Sadly, I do have to bounce just before 2 o'clock today, so it's not going to be an epic all-day stream. Who's this person just strutting around?
Well done.
Let's go back to Clockwork City for a little bit. That was fun. Or we could just hang out and do some writs, I guess, actually. That might be more fun since we don't have a huge amount of time. Quickly get rid of all this stuff in the inbox. What's happened to the market for materials? Prices are dropping, sales are slowing. You guys need to print more stuff. I guess that's it. No one's printing gear now until update 47 drops. Angelo, thank you, Khan. Really appreciate it. Yeah, sorry I couldn't give you a more... the answer you wanted. I mean, I could just open up... Yeah, in fact, well, if you do want a deeper look, we could open up some logs and have a look there. We've got a video on how to read logs, in fact, if you guys are interested. It was mostly done as a sort of a help tool, not a clickbait thing, but it is really good, if I do say so myself, because it answers... I've been getting questions about how to use logs effectively for the longest time. So, yeah, I know exactly which questions are the most popular ones. I'm looking at everything I can. I'm trying to figure out a sort of general setup to tackle trials, not for trifectas or hard modes, but for normal vet. Okay, really appreciate everything you and Maya do. Have a great day. Well, thank you. I would... It sort of depends then, Angelo. If you can get the DDs to all have... or mostly have the same skill lines, or at least the, you know, if there's one that's going to affect things like pen and crit levels, because it's a pain if some people have, if they're stacking, I don't know, Herald of the Tome and Assassination and Adric Spear, so they're like way overboard on critical damage. But then you got a tank that's running Saxleal and another that's, or Warhorn and Lucent, sorry, not Saxleal. You know what I mean? Then all of that stuff is wasted. It is a massive amount of power that is not going to those damage dealers. And similarly, if you've got several damage dealers running Gravelord, and they've got Dismember, 3.3k penetration, that's a lot. It's a lot. And if they're running it in conjunction with Herald of the Tome as well. Yeah, so it does complicate things. Now that we have the option to tell the DDs, alright, none of you run Gravelord, or all of you run Gravelord, that kind of thing. Or none of you go over this amount of critical damage because we've got Lucent on one of the tanks. Does that make sense? Martkuzland. Hey, welcome on in. Thank you for the follow. Welcome on in, everybody. We've got about half an hour left of Bimblage. In fact, I need to go shopping for platinum ounces. How fascinating. It's the way it is. I just ran out. Sorry. But yeah, we'll take questions about, well, anything, basically. We'll even talk PvP. That is starting tomorrow afternoon, so just over 24 hours from now. And all of you saying thank you for the questions and answers. You're very, very welcome. That is what we're here for. Ultimately, Ninja Balls was started as a group. Just a group of 12 people. Me and Maya and 10 buddies who are working through some of the vets and hard modes that we hadn't done before and learning as we went. We then realized that there was an entire guild attached to that group that could also benefit. So we started making more and more guides and whatnot. Eventually made a guild. And yeah, here we are. We're now on YouTube and on Twitch and everything in between. So we really appreciate the support. Appreciate you guys hanging out. Definitely want to see you guys here tomorrow from 6 a.m. to 6 a.m. 24 hours. We're running a massive, massive party stream. It's going to be great fun. Loads of ESO. We're going to be covering like almost everything in ESO in that time. We have enough time, right? So I'm not going to buy overpriced platinum, basically. I don't want to pay more than, ideally, like 70. Where's the other guy? There he is. I just ran out of platinum like the other day. So this sucks. Sometimes you can get reasonable prices in Belcarth. Let's have a look. Angelo, yes, definitely. Excellent. But yeah, please do come by tomorrow. I think that is going to be a fun one. So obviously catch up with your usual ESO streams in between if you've got to. But if you're around... Oh, come on. There's no one selling it below 80. If you're around, we'd love to see you pop in. Here we go. Don't mind if I do. Thank you very much. Markusland, hello! Am I pronouncing that more or less correctly? Do let me know. I have a thing about pronouncing everything correctly if I can. So do correct me, please.
Can I help you?
And Angelo, the reason I'm trying to figure out a general setup is because the game is always changing so quick, it is hard to catch up. I'm a returning player. You are not wrong, and I totally sympathize. So all I can recommend is what I said, is to at least give your group some guidance. So have the support sets, either fix those and then tell the DDs to bring or not bring pen and crit as appropriate.
I've got what you need.
Or just wait for that ad break to end. Markusland is correct. Excellent. Well, lovely to have you here. How's it going? How's everyone doing today, in fact? Right, what other trading hubs have we got that I'm neglecting? Stormhold. I like going to the places which are big, but not, like, obvious, because they usually have more competitive prices. And if you're buying a lot of something, like if you're just looking for one motif, and you get it for 10k instead of 12k, who cares? You're not even going to notice that 1 minute later. But if you're buying a lot of stuff, as I am here, it's often worth shopping around a little bit. I would normally use Tamriel Trading Center website for this, but since yeah, because of my streaming setup, I'm not going to do that, because then you guys would have to look at it and fuck that. It's bad enough I'm taking you shopping with me, like one of those girlfriends who forces you to come shoe shopping, and has no idea quite how boring it becomes after half an hour, 2 hours, 4 hours. Anyway, I think we're done. We're done for now. I'll do the rest of it offline. Or off stream, I mean. Anyway, Angelo, I did start answering your question, then an ad break happened, and then I thought I would stop and wait until the ad break was over. So welcome back, everybody. All I was saying was that I would recommend either deciding on your support setups, so skill lines and sets, gear sets, and then ensuring that, and then advising the DDs. Basically, look, if you absolutely have to run Gravelord, go for it. But you are going to be way over pen. You're going to be very inefficiently statted. You know, it's not going to fit very well with the rest of the group. Or if you know, people are stacking crit damage and you've got war horns, you've got Lucent, then tell them. Either do that or do it the other way around. If you see like the DDs are relatively established, then you can fix that and say, right, everybody's running this, that, and then tweak the supports in response. But if you're trying to juggle both at the same time, you're going to make more work for yourself, and it's going to be a pain in the butt. I think that... Does that make sense? So, make one of them fixed to a degree. Obviously, if a player leaves, or if the reality of the meta changes, obviously be flexible and roll with it. But I would try to keep one of them fixed, and then adjust the other one as needed. So we're getting a little bit technical here. We're talking about like trial comps, but if any of you haven't been a raid lead before, spare a thought for those who've been your raid leads over the years, because this is the kind of stuff, the good ones at least, the real ones, are always thinking about. Trying to stay ahead of the meta, even for groups that aren't performing at a super high level or have particularly ambitious goals, just being aware of what is going to work best and make it easiest for your group. I think that's the thing that we often forget when we talk about end gamers or sweat lords or elites or whatever the hell you want to call them, whether you mean it as a virtue or whether you mean it in a derogatory way. I love the end gamers in here, so I think they do God's work. They make the game more interesting for all of us. And they give us a spectator sport attached to the game we love, right? Which we can choose to participate in or not. So, yeah, I dig that side of things and think we should be nice to them. Anyway, it's often forgotten that at every level, people are looking for ways to make things a little bit easier for themselves. Make it slightly more likely that their group will clear today and not wipe for the 10th time. It's not just score pushers who are doing this. In fact, in many ways, they're doing the opposite. They're trying to get riskier but faster clears just for the fuck of it. Because it's fun. And it's there. You know, climb the mountain because it's there. The vast majority of groups are just trying to ensure the clears are smooth and consistent and whatever else. So, that's why this stuff is worth doing. Any recommendation for a PvP Arcanist DPS build? Are you able to subclass? I mean, everyone is, I suppose, but which other classes do you have access to? There are some very good crafted sets that you can use for PvP. If you don't mind getting used to a bursty type setup, I know that a backbar set like Wretched Vitality is still pretty popular. It's been popular for a long time. And it's not for everyone, but another crafted set, if you really want to build in a lot of burst, is Mechanical Acuity. But it does depend. Do you have an add-on or some sort of UI element that can let you track the cooldown on Mechanical Acuity? Because Acuity is the one, if you put it on the front bar, this is the one where when you trigger it, it will give you 100% critical chance for a limited time. And it's just obviously fantastic. If you can set up your burst, trigger the set, and ult and spam, and your burst, every single tick of your burst is a crit. That's obviously incredibly powerful, but it's, you know, it's not very beginner friendly. But yeah, like, as I was saying, Marcus Land, I'm not a PvP specialist. The build I was just looking at before was sent by a friend, and I literally asked him this morning, A, what is your favorite PvP setup that you've been playing with in Update 46? And B, are you okay with me showcasing it on stream? So I've done that on, you know, on pen and paper, the stats version, and I'm going to make it in time for tomorrow's 24-hour stream. So I will literally be playing with that setup tomorrow, I hope. Dragon. Oh, sorry, I'm a little bit behind. Angelo, thanks. Really appreciate your answers. Go back to the drawing board. Sorry to send you back to the drawing board. And thanks for the kind words. Here to help. If you're on our Discord, you can reach out anytime. You can even post in PvE questions and make it clear that you're asking about like raid leads, comp advice. But go to ESO logs as well. And you could get a very good look what people are running with successfully. You don't have to follow what they're doing, but at least you'll know if this group is clearing the hard modes or they got the trifecta. That setup as a baseline is probably going to be quite useful. You don't have to include the support DPS or every aspect of it. You know, if you look through what gear sets they're running, you'll very quickly be able to uncover, oh right, that's something fairly advanced they're doing there. They've only got one healer, or they've got a tank and a half, kind of thing. You'll often find that. Don't copy those bits, but it's very easy to get inspiration from those, and just get an outline from which you can add in your own bits, or just take features out because your groups aren't bothered about performing at that level. So yeah, you're very welcome. Of animal companions and Adric Spear, that sounds fine. If you go with like those are both pretty good for PvP. In fact, the build I was just looking at, Marcus Land, is Adric Spear, animal companions, and storm calling from the sorcerer. But if you're on an arcanist, I guess you would combine that with what's it called? Soldier of Apocrypha. You could try that. You won't have quite the damage or the passive healing. But yeah, you can combine it with that. And you can use the rune to freeze people. And you can use the armor. You could, to be fair, you could also use rune spite. Like, that's actually not a bad shout. So maybe, yeah, maybe have a play around with that. Soldier of Apocrypha plus animal companions and Adric Spear. And the setup, if you scroll up in chat, you'll see I posted a link to the setup I was just talking about. You could make some tweaks to that. That should work pretty well. And Dragon, now to you. Sorry about that. That's what my guilds don't understand. I do a lot of sweaty content with my other groups, but when I try to tell my guild members, hey, you guys should really look into these things to help with burn, they just ignore me, but then wonder why they have a hard time just clearing vet. Right. Yeah. Yeah, well, I'm glad I mentioned it, because that is very familiar. And yes, there are absolutely some strats. Like, if I look at what Genesis are doing, for example, not the band, if I look at a world record group that was just completed in the last week, and I try to copy exactly what they're doing, I'd better make sure that my group is up to it. Because, yeah, they'll be doing things like I mentioned. They'll be ditching a healer. We're going to solo heal this. We are, you know, the other healer is going full damage or support DPS or something like that. And they will squeeze more and more power every chance they get. So, yeah, when you're looking at a strat like that at the very, very thin end of the wedge, yeah, you don't really want to try to copy and paste those things onto a typical average veteran group. However, everything in between, all those optimizations that they're doing, optimizing the gear sets, for example, not just letting the tanks run whatever the hell they want, not letting the DDs bring whatever the hell they want. You're bringing way too much pen, you're bringing way too much crit, way too little crit. Why are you in light armor? You know, all these kind of things. Why are you using staves? They're all small increases and decreases, but when you multiply them by 12 and by like 10 different features per player, it adds up to a huge amount. That's where a lot of power in ESO comes from. It's not like one big thing. It's countless little elements coming together to create like an unimaginable amount of power. And that's why it's difficult for the devs to control as well. Because if it was just that one problematic thing, they'd get out the nerf hammer, sure as shit know how to use that, they drop it on the problem skill, and there we go, problem solved. But, yeah, and it's not so little things, it's much more of a game of whack-a-mole, isn't it? Roxven Love, very good morning. Watching, getting ready for work. Nice, thank you very much for joining us. Sadly, you're catching us towards the end of the stream, but it's been a very, very lovely hang today. Erin, you can check out the Magden setup on Decimus. Decimus is a great call. So yeah, Mark Kazland, I hope you have fun with that one. Yeah, and as Erin is saying, use these things as a reference to make your own setup. Eon's Jenny, hey Carl, I've been struggling as a tank to get experience in vet trials. So far, all of my experience has been with casual guilds, which has been lovely, but those generally just run once a week, and we often don't get the clear. Yeah, this is totally normal. I'm nervous since I don't take harsh criticism well, and I know that an unexperienced tank can make things really difficult for everyone. Don't know how to get over that hump. Join, are you on PCEU by any chance? Or PCNA? Join one of my teaching runs, and we'll tailor it. PCNA, okay. We will try to get something set up there, and I will run it. Now, I can't promise it'll be this week, but if you can join the Discord and... let me make a note of this right now. I'm just going to DM Maya on Discord with your name. Is your name on Discord the same as it is here? And we'll try to set one up. We need more teaching runs there anyway, and they're not, the groups there aren't performing at a particularly intimidating level. Really not. Like, I'm still missing loads of gear on the NA server. So, Eon's Jenny, there we go. I'm just making a note of this. But, actually, I think you might be overestimating the amount of harsh criticism you would get. The vast majority of players and guilds that do genuine teaching runs, and of course there are some that say teaching runs and then actually all they do is call out block, horn, and that's it. That's not a teaching run. Just because you know the mechanics, that doesn't mean that everyone else in the group magically inherits that knowledge by being grouped with you. Proper teaching is difficult and time consuming. So, but yeah, we're one of the guilds who does it. And anyone who does it like us, like 8 Puppies, for example, does teaching runs as well on the NA server. And he's very chill. Like, if you need something explained, he's not going to be a dick about it. So yeah, I've made a note. 6 AM in the UK. So 7 AM for mainland Europe. And I guess middle of the night. So 1 AM for like East Coast US. And so on. Yeah, British, yeah. Ah, and Jenny already on the Discord, I see. Excellent. Yeah, it's summertime, so it's a little bit quiet. But we've got Papa Jester, who's Bostonian. So the NA server is very much his home turf. And he and I and Maya have been trying to get more and more trials running over there, but the guild is smaller. You know, cumulatively we don't have as much power and experience and gear and all that stuff collected, so it's a little bit harder to make things happen, but we'll get there. That's how the EU groups got started. LeBron, I'm still a baby on LA as well, yeah. Erin, I'll try to set up and join the new trial runs that you were talking about in Discord. Brilliant. Yeah, so these will be on the EU server, the ones that I was talking about. We've got Lucent Citadels coming up. We have got because a lot of people who didn't buy Gold Road now have it as part of ESO Plus. Way! And yeah, they're keen to do the new trial, collect some of the sets in there, Null Arca in particular, or if they're supports, Lucent. Ozzy and Cage, for obvious reasons, and there's a lot of love for Sanity's Edge, which I can only assume is because of Unsul becoming... It's not been buffed or anything, but it's become... It's sort of been stealth buffed by proxy. You know, things like Riptide have fallen away somewhat. Unsul looking more attractive than ever, and people want to collect it. Yeah, Ted Meister saw that, absolutely. And Dragon, especially if you want to teach each role to people. Yeah. Yeah. Well, good luck with it. Good luck making that case. And getting people to understand that some of the stuff that the end gamers are doing is just for them. But a lot of the stuff they're doing, the majority of it, is easily within our grasp. And all of us can benefit enormously from it. And it doesn't require that much effort. Like an extra half hour of prep, or even an hour, if someone's never set up a character, if they haven't made any changes to their character in a long time. Yeah, it can be a little bit painstaking to like go through, make sure you have all the gear, all the traits, the enchantments, the CPs, level everything. I understand that. But the amount of time it will save your group, and the amount of progress you will make, yeah, it's awesome. Kazi, I hate cooking for being away 4 days, I can imagine. Dragon, I will typically take tanks into a Discord channel and explain mechs. Have someone take the healers into another chat. Oh, okay, really? I usually do them all 3 back to back, just try and be fast. And then we'll pull, do a test pull and wipe, unless it goes very surprisingly well. And it's literally just a test pull so people can see what I'm talking about. Then we'll reiterate some things. Some people even do that thing where they'll explain one mechanic, the first mechanic that they'll see. Then we pull, they wipe. They'll even call the wipe, not wait for it to happen. Then they'll explain mechanic number 2. They'll pull and wait for that mechanic to appear, then they'll wipe again, and so on until the whole fight has been sort of demonstrated. If you've genuinely got a group of like 10 people who none of whom have cleared it before, I could see the value in that. Usually I don't find that necessary. People can learn on the fly. Yeah, Ted Meister, absolutely, come on in. So at 11 PM for you, Marcus Land. Alright. Perfecto. Just pack a bunch of raw materials, flour, rice, and source some local stuff, and just cook where I go. Saves a lot of money, and food is fresh. Erin with the tips and tricks. Monkalito. Daddy is live. I don't know when you posted that, if I've missed that one. And Hoodie Buys. Hey, when people try to explain the whole encounter beforehand, explain it for like 10 minutes. Yeah, I know. It can be really difficult sometimes. I try to just bust out a very quick bullet point version and say, don't worry, you'll see it all in a moment and I'll reiterate. But I've got a friend who has been known to explain the entire thing very slowly, bit by bit. And yeah, it is a little bit painful. You're just like, you could have wiped 6 times by now and people would have learned so much of the fight. But teaching, you know, we forget how difficult it is. Not just like in terms of people skills and instincts, but also prep and giving yourself a little bit of a script, not to work from, but to fall back on if you need it. Having some notes to work with, you know. So teaching in any area, like obviously teaching a trial is nothing compared to trying to teach primary school education or something like that. But even just dipping our toe in that small way can remind us of the respect that a good teacher deserves. And not the scorn, but the disappointment caused by a bad teacher. And I've had some of those in my time. Ted, it'll probably be 7 PM UK time, or it'll be, you know, this kind of time, like 11 AM. It depends if we want Maya there or not. She's not going to be able to join for many of them if they're in the morning. But like 11 AM, midday, 1 o'clock UK time, or 7 PM UK time. But yeah, Hoodie Buys, absolutely right. 3 minutes tops. 3 minutes is good. Even that is quite long, isn't it? But that's decent. And if you can break it down and give it like a little, give mechanics a nickname, so you can quickly ID them as they're coming. Like one of the things I've used a lot when Dreadsail Reef was new, and we'd have to explain the rapid deluge mechanic. I don't really explain what people do, I just give them this metaphor. You ready for this? People love this, because it's funny, and they retain the information. I would say this is like a fart in a jacuzzi, right? When you get the rapid deluge, for those who don't know, this is one where you have to dive into the water before it explodes, and it explodes underwater. You're gonna fart in the jacuzzi, right? You want it to be underwater. That way it happens, it's harmless. All people see is a bunch of bubbles. Nothing happened. Nothing to see here, guys. Whereas if you're still on the land when it goes off, you're just going to let rip and shit all over your entire group. I don't think I said that last bit. But that is a very vivid metaphor that people seem to respond to for some reason. And then you could just say jacuzzi when the mechanic is coming up and people remember. You know, it is lame and shameful to fart above the waterline. When the bubbles pop, the smell does AoE damage. Exactly, yeah. That's perfect. Yeah, like, there are loads of things like this. I think I was inspired to do it by a driving instructor I had when I first learned to drive. He was Jamaican. And he was, unfortunately, like, in the UK, we have a real... We have a lot of Jamaican immigration that's come to the UK over the decades, which is a wonderful thing, if you ask me. But also, there's the image of the typical Jamaican man in pop culture, and I'm ashamed to say this guy did fit the stereotype just beautifully. He was very tall, and, a very, very handsome dude, very, very chill. Yeah, man, all that kind of stuff. And he had colourful he used to collect them, and he and I came up with some of them. All the little tricks that you explain to a noob when they're learning to drive. Try to get them to visualize or memorize something. He had so many of these. And I was inspired by that to try and come up with little memorable descriptions for mechanics in ESO. It's a lot of fun. And I can't think of any of them, but one of them that I have used was, I don't know why this is so difficult, but getting people to stack up the ass like this. Getting them to stack right behind the pinnacle factotum in Hoff. Alright, this guy's gone. But you know what I mean. If that's the boss, you want them to get right up his butt so he doesn't do the flux burst, the streak. And I would say stuff like, I want you to crawl up his ass so high that you can read the label on his Calvin Kleins, and stuff like that. Can you read the label? You're doing it wrong. Get up in there. Get up in them guts. And stuff like that. It works. There's always one numpty who's ignoring you, dancing around at the back. But yeah, tip for any raid leads, if you can come up with colourful, ideally innuendo-laden or gross-out metaphors and similes to use, it'll serve you well. Right. Fart connoisseur. Yeah. Monkalito, 5% chance to make affected targets throw up in the hot tub, causing disease, acid damage to all targets in the radius. Yeah. Another one, a friend of mine just got a kitten when he was raid leading, and the cat obviously came and took a shit. It'd just been litter trained, but I think it took a poop right next to his desk, and he was just like, guys, we're gonna have to wipe. I've got some major defile over here. I'm suffering from, like, major defile. And, yeah, I mean, I think he caused a wipe just with that comment, because everyone just started buckling. Anyway. We're going to have to call it there, because I'm going to have a hard cap at 2 o'clock. So did I miss anything else in chat? Yellow bro, if baby runs on EU, love to know. They don't have to be baby runs. Just feel free to sign up. As long as you're not, signing up to one of Otto's hard mode progs or anything without being prepped. It's all good. We're very, very willing to take people who have not done the vet before with a group that largely has done. That's one of the advantages. It's great to have a mix of people who know what they're doing and people who are new to it. Because if everyone knows what they're doing, well, no one's learning anything. Because it's going too smoothly, and the one person who's trying to learn it doesn't get to see any of the mechanics because it's almost too good. But if everyone is learning, it can be slow going. It can be a bit of a slog. So that, yeah, we often get that balance, and we're very lucky that people who don't really need the training are still willing to sign up and have fun. Guns and Raiders, thank you for the hydrate. And thank you for the stretch. Everybody do that just before we raid off. And thank you again. It's been a really good week of streams this week. Nice compact streams of like 100 people or so. It's been really, really lovely. I've had a great time with you guys. Thank you for all your chat. It means a lot. If you're just lurking, no worries. We appreciate you being here, subbing, following, sitting through ads, whatever it is. But if you have been chatting and giving me stuff to talk about and respond to, that is massively valuable, actually. Ask any streamer. They really appreciate it. Except for the ones who have, like, chat, which is just infinitely scrolling faster than you can read it. Then that's a little bit different. But even then, it's energy. And we appreciate that very much. I am going to raid off to Bislobo. He's doing epic PvP, as always. And I want you guys to make a lot of noise. Stick around. He's a lovely guy. He will give you a ton of tips just before this White Strake's Mayhem kicks off tomorrow. If you're thinking, maybe it's time I actually get my PvP build up to date or make a completely new one, make your first PvP build. I don't mind what it is. Biss has got you. He's got builds he can share with you. He's got tips that he can give you. So, yeah. I highly recommend it. Hang out with him for a bit. He's a fantastic dude. He's a great player. Super chill. And yeah, make a lot of noise when we go in. Just going to kill that ad break. And the stream changed my life, really. Those markers are awesome. I'm so glad, Swit. Anytime we can use the Twitch to provide a tip like that is just very gratifying. So, hey, everyone, have a fantastic day. Thank you again for hanging out. Sub, follow, all the rest of it. We love you guys. Catch us again tomorrow for the 24-hour streamathon, sumathon. We're starting at 6 a.m. UK time. If you haven't joined the Discord, do it. All the details are going to be posted there. Have a lovely afternoon. All the best.